Yes, yes, people. Yes, yes, family. How's it going? Bless up to everyone. Appreciate you all for tuning in on this evening. It is 9:04 GMT time on the 28th, I was going to say 25th, 28th of August, 2022. Hope everyone is doing well this evening. Thank you for joining me on this Sunday evening now. So before we get into it, let me just say what's up to the chat. R&B, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Skills, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I've been off for a little while, so I understand what you're saying in it. We all have our lives to live. We all get busy sometimes. Sometimes it just ain't conducive to do certain things. But no, I appreciate you being here. And the man's right. Don't forget to like the stream. So people on the way in, please make sure you like the stream, share the stream, subscribe if you are new. Please let me know if you can hear the sound, if the sound is going all good. Uh, Coming through well on my end, but you know how these things are. So please make sure you just give me a little heads up. Everything's all good, little bless up here, a little bless up there to say that you can hear me. But yeah, big up everyone in the chat. Manchester boy, big up, big up. Do I think Forest will stay up this year? The answer is yes, purely because of the investment. And I think if anything does seem to go, or if it looks like we may not be able to in January, Forest will definitely spend big. So, um, judging by the owners, their ambitions, I do think they will do just because they're going to spend a whole heap of money. So, yeah, Forest, I think they're definitely looking good to stay up. But we'll see. You never can tell. You never know. Spending that kind of finances and or that other team, it's going to definitely have an impact on chemistry and all the kind of things. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, big up everyone. Big up everyone. Mr. Uganda, big up. Hope it's well. Hope all is well with yourselves. Hope you're doing well this bank holiday weekend. That kind of crept up on me this year, but also this week. But it's all good. But yeah, let's get into this topic because this one sort of just it's been it's trending all over the place. It's a breaking news story, and I thought to myself, man, if there's ever a guy who for some odd reason cannot keep his whatever reason, he just seems to just be in a spotlight for whatever reason, good, bad, or indifferent. It doesn't matter. Paul Pogba, he's the man who the tabloids they just seem to glean to, whether it's good, whether it's bad. Personally, it's a bit of both, but this one's kind of a really, really, really minus heartbreaking story. If I'll be honest with you, we're going to get into the story and we're going to talk about on a wider scale because this isn't something which I've just heard recently at all. When it comes to certain situations, it's a bit of a common occurrence, maybe not to this extent, but it's definitely something that I want to get into today in regards to the topic. So the topic is about Paul Pogba being betrayed and also the following topic, because Paul Pogba, if you don't know, he's a footballer. He's a very wealthy man. He's likely to be wealthy for the rest of his life. So he has fame, fortune, visibility, all that kind of other good stuff, talent. If you consider playing football a talent, I do, but a lot of people don't. But anyway, because of his talents, he's made a lot of money. And because of a lot of finance, a lot of money, you get a lot of, guess what? Hangers on. And here's the thing about the hangers on it ain't, people always are worried when it comes to making a lot of money, especially men. Let's be honest, because you're worried about people who are coming into your life, who's going to be a leech to your life, who's going to try and play you, who's going to try and extort you from all your money, who's going to try and basically betray you. Especially when it comes to maybe women that you're looking at, when it comes to outside friends you've not seen before. So what a lot of people do, or what a lot of people say, and the logic is sound, is stick with people who have seen your rise. Stick with your family, obviously, because they're supposed to be the ones who are there for you because they were there before the supposed good times or before you was on your little hill. And then also friends who were there. So that is what people always say. You always say, look, make sure you keep your family and your friends who were there, who saw you when you're at your lowest, because they're the ones who should enjoy you at your highest. But I'm going to tell you, ladies and gents, looking at this story, and we're going to get into it today, that it be your own ones, your own ones within your own camp. Many times you're always looking further field for the one who's going to be really the one who's going to stick that knife in. But truth be told, given this story, it's his own blood, own flesh and blood. And he just like, I'm trying to think of any worse betrayal that could ever befall a man or any human being, not man, just any woman, man, woman, child, than your own family members. And let me just share my screen. We're gonna get into the story because bro. Now, disclaimer. This is all just coming out. So our details are still forthcoming. There's still a lot of twists and turns. I imagine the story. There's still a few things which I guarantee either may tell a different side of the story, it may not, it may give even shed further light into what we're going to get into today or what is believed to be released today. But let's get into this article here. Okay. Now, it's by Get Football News France. It's a French story that was released, and its reads as follows. French info has provided new revelations from police sources this Sunday night in an extraordinary developing story involving French World Cup winner and Juventus midfielder Paul Pogba, who has notably informed police investigators that his brother, again, keen on it, his brother, Mateus, has been part of a concerted effort to blackmail him for 13 million euros. Lord have mercy. The matter came to light yesterday through the publication of a video on social media by Mateus Pogba. So not only, here's the thing as well. So not only do we know that it's his own brother who did this via Paul Pogba notifying the police up here, but the only reason why, if you look at the timescales, Paul Pogba informed the police is because his own brother released a social media post. Now it's in French. I'm not going to play it because it's just it's written down here in the article as to what he said. But his own brother released a story, released a video, him actually on camera. There's no question about it. He looks like a spitting image of his brother. Released a video. So Paul Pogba and obviously his representatives had to come out in regards to that. But this is the length of the betrayal. His own brother came on social media. But let's keep reading. Who claimed was about to they expose major revelations about his brother Paul Pogba, obviously Kylian Mbappe, and French teammate who plays for PSG, and Rafael Pimenta. I think that's an agent. This announcement by the striker was then followed on Sunday by an official communique from Paul Pogba's camp, affirming that the ex-Manchester United man was currently subject of a blackmail attempt. So his own brother is part of an attempt to blackmail him for 30 million euros. That's crazy. It has since been confirmed that French prosecutors have opened an investigation in a possible attempt to blackmail by an organized gang. Matthias Pogba then took to social media to claim that the media was attempting to spin things and that his brother has lied to Italian authorities. So this is where we don't know exactly what's going on. But listen, at the end of the day, he came out there and, I might actually try and get that video, but bro, it's just not looking good that your own brother's out here, at least even wrapped up in the thing. But French info has now procured details relating to the French investigation, and they are jaw-dropping. During various interviews with the authorities, Paul Pogba is understood to have said that he was trapped by childhood friends. There's that childhood friend stuff I was talking about. They're the ones who meant to hold you down, have your back. They're the ones who meant to protect you, apparently. And two hooded men armed with assault rifles during an incident in Paris. A gang that demanded 30 million euros from him, of which his brother Matthias Pogba would be a part. The 2018 world champion claims to be a victim of threats and attempted extortion from his older brother and childhood friends. See, it'd be your own ones, sometimes. And this is, we're going to get into it, but it'd be your own ones. So it continues to read to say, not long left, Paul Pogba has confided to organized crime division investigators that he was temporarily trapped by childhood friends and two hooded men armed with assault rifles. According to him, the gang demanded 13 million euros from him and has intimidated him several times since, including at the Juventus training center in Turin, where he told the police that he recognized his brother, Matthias Pogba, among the suspects. And then it goes on to here to say, in regards to more incidents and more things that took place at all. I'm trying to think there's anything else really to what gives any other details, but it doesn't. And this is the thing. When you look at the article, and again, it's still all fresh and breaking news, but the question has to remain. And the first thing what really killed me, and I'm going to really want to get your input into this, I'm going to drop the link in the chat soon, is just, if you can't even trust your own family, who can you trust? Now, Paul Pogba is a guy who, if anyone knows about him on the pitch, he's always kind of a jovial character. He always seems to have a lot of great energy. He seems to play with a lot of enthusiasm. He seems to be one of those men who, seems to, a lot of like black French players, or the people call them very mercurial. They're very emotional. They're not very stable, which is why a lot of black French players get a lot of stick over here. But Paul Pogba is no different. He seems to be, he loves the dance. He loves the showmanship of it all. But I'm telling you, man, listen, if this has been happening for a long time, I'm telling you, it's something which I got to hand it to him, because the English press, the British press, have not given him an inch of headway. And considering that this has been happening over the last few years, when he was in Britain playing for Manchester United, for me, it gives me a whole new meaning of, mentality, resilience, etc., like that. What kills me the most, and this is what I really want to understand, I'm going to get into the second part of the topic, because the second part of the topic is, should rich people support their families and their communities? Because Matthias Pogba, he's also a footballer, for those who don't know. Now, he's not as famous as Paul Pogba, clearly. he's not as talented as his brother, clearly. And he has never played for the same type of level of teams that Paul Pogba's played for. But he's still a professional footballer nonetheless, which means he still earns a working wage. And this man is a big enough, ugly enough man to be able to earn for himself. So my question would be, why in the heck is he even, why is he even a part of something like this when you think, A, he would kind of already be taken care of in a way, because a lot of people wouldn't have their entourages. And I'm sure Paul Pogba is no different. He'll take care of his friends. He'll take care of his family. He'll make sure that they're all, at least his close-knit family. He'll make sure they're all well fed. He'll make sure if they are struggling, I'm pretty sure he seems like a generous guy. He would make sure that they're taken care of. But to come out here and if the reports of the story to be true, that his own brother, brother that was born with, same mother, same father. So I don't even think it's even on no other thing where you have like a step family where one side of the family was taken care of, the other side of the family was, not so taken care of. There was one favorite on that. Same mother, same father. And yet here you have a situation here where he's been extorted by his own blood, his own brother. And the thing is even his mum's come out, from what I understand, Paul Pogba's mum, to kind of basically side and say, look, yeah, he's getting extorted by his own brothers. As to the reason why, I have no idea. And now here's the thing. What's the famous phrase? More money, more problems. And this is where I really want to get into the conversation about how should people move? I mean, how should we move if we have finances? I mean, there's always this kind of, and I'm speaking really from what I hear and what I understand, that there's a, what's the word? A expectation that people who earn a lot of money, that they give back to their family, that they give back to their communities where they come from. There's always seems to be this underlying expectation. Or I suppose the question is there an underlying expectation that people who, make it out of, not so bad situations, that they, give back to their own family members? I mean, I don't think Paul Pogba grew up rich, which is another thing. So I guarantee a lot of his childhood friends, a lot of the people who grew up with, weren't exactly the ones who were blessed with, money, blessed with contact. So, there's a certain way how people with money act, and certain people with money don't seem to act. So I'm thinking to myself, that part of the reason why? I mean, I've got zero clue. But I'm thinking to myself, is there something prevalent within certain situations? Is this I'm not going to put it down to a race thing, so I'm not going to put it down to that. But is this maybe down a social economic class thing? Is there something where a lot of people from working class backgrounds and environments, they feel more entitled to people who have come from the same neck of the woods? Because let's be honest, it's kind of different when you see the son of an earl, the son of a duke, or the son of someone rich making it on rich, because that's kind of expected. That's kind of a, well, he was a son of this, the daughter of that. I mean, I saw this article the other day where this kid made, I want to say, 100 million off investing in a company. And it turns out the guy borrowed 25 million from his own family. So it's like, all right, whatever. It's like, even though he borrowed 25 million and made like 100 million back off it, so he like pretty much tripled his profits. It's like, well, he had a rich family to borrow 25 million off in the first place. So no one can even relate to that. But this is different. When it comes to our footballers, they are more relatable. Know the reason why? A lot of them come from backgrounds that we can relate to. Most of your footballers, as opposed to rugby players, as opposed to cricket players, they come from a lot of working class backgrounds. They don't come from prevalence. They don't come from the silver spoon in their mouth. They come from a situation which most of us can, I want to say, attest to. So is it that the fact of the reason why people are more targeted? I mean, I have no idea why Paul Pogba was targeted. He's targeted as part of some sort of some gang. I mean, 30 million euros. They're trying to extort him. They're trying to betray him. And the fact of the matter is his own brother. That's the next thing I need to get into, or the thing I really want to get into as well, is that must make the whole situation 10 times worse. I can understand and get over somebody who I don't know betraying you. I can even get over probably childhood friends. But bro, can I get over somebody who's my own brother betraying me like that? Part of an attempt to probably assault. Because with these kind of finances, I guarantee physical harm would have been definitely threatened. I don't. I believe it was threatened by physical harm. The article doesn't really go on to say it. Again, breaking news, breaking story. More things will go out on there. But I'm just like this. I guarantee a lot more threats other than give me some money. We're obviously told to him. Otherwise, how else would he give? Why else would he give up the money? I mean, I've not heard anything about anyone being kidnapped. I've not heard anything about anyone being any family member elsewhere, something happening to them. I've not heard anything like that at all. But I can only imagine asking for demanding that kind of money. There has to be something else on there. But the fact of the matter is, this this is the face. This is the symptomatic betrayal of what happens for a lot of situations, and even when it comes to us as a people, because it even makes me look at other things like slavery different. Because we always get on this trope about it was other people coming in and this and that, and that is true. But ultimately, how did it happen? Because we had our own people betray us. We have to start there. Our own family members betrayed each other. That's what happened. Betrayed each other for the spoils because another person came in and said, you know what, for your natural resources, we'll give you this. Basically, exchange, which is finances. So guess what happened? We saw a deal that we thought was better. This other group was like, we don't want to do that. And boom, there you have it. Sold to ships. That's how it happened. You go speak to some of these old tribal leaders, they will tell you, yes, 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 they understand exactly what took place. Our own people betrayed our own people. It was a civil war. And this is exactly what happens in this situation. Paul Pogba, it ain't even an outsider. It's his own family and his own so-called friends. Now, you can get rid of your friends, no problem, even if there are childhood friends. But your own brother, I mean, that is just on a whole new level. And I was going to say, what's up to people in chat? I can see a few people here. Space Cowboy. I mean, and this is the next thing I want to get to, because you're saying he can't be saved. But here's the thing. He's a victim in all this. At the end of the day, again, it's not like it was someone who he invited into his own household. These are someone who was already in there. So the question is then, what would you do in this situation? How should you maneuver? Because I don't know what your situation is like, but I assume most people's situation is they want to get themselves in a financially comfortable situation. And what happens with us typically is we want to move out to a different location, a nice, leafy green situation, a nice, lighter in complexion situation, usually speaking, maybe ones with gated communities. And sometimes you always talk about, oh, you always want to move out there. You always want to move out here. You always want to switch up. I'm going to say this. When you see situations like this, I'm not saying this is typical. I'm not saying this is always genuine, but I've seen so many situations where family members have been not even like extorting, but just latches on, in which they don't even work, in which they're expected, where that person who's now, you could also say it's the breadwinner. I remember, if anyone remembers Jesse Lingard, he was in a situation where I think he was like the main breadwinner out of his own family, and he was under a lot of stress and a lot of pressure. And let's be honest, the media can be very, very cruel when it comes to situations like this, unless you seem to open up. But especially when it comes to, again, Lingard and Pogba, because these are characters who will have a more larger than life kind of character and personality. So because of that, people assume that you have no problems, you have no issues. I'm like, bruh, people have issues regardless of whether they have money, regardless of whether they look a certain way, regardless of whether they have a certain fame. People are people. They go through problems like you and I do. I know it's hard to believe, folks. People with money have problems. I know, right? Boo hoo is they. Their money can get them out of a lot of problems. And I agree with some of that. But also their money can get you into a hell of a lot more trouble than the average person, thank God, don't have to worry about. And that's the thing about fame. I mean, if you're rich and famous, that's a double whammy. You can handle being rich. You can move out there. You can pretty much go on undetected for the most part. Maybe some people in the inner circle will know what you're about, how much you earn, and that may go out. You may be a local celebrity, but hell, when you're famous like these brothers here, like Paul Pogba is here, there's no getting around who you are, how much you make. There's no sort of hiding place. And again, the worst thing is this. It ain't even someone from the outside, from what we understand. It's his own kith and kin. And then it's his own flipping childhood friends who with him since he was, I'm assuming, a little boy, all this kind of other stuff. So it's a scenario which I really wanted to understand. I suppose the question would be, and this is what I want to open when I open the panel, this is sort of the question I really want to get to is there a way how rich people should move? And are you looking for rich people to help the community out? Is that something which we should expect, given the fact that we have a lot of people who, let's be honest, have their hands out? This is another thing as well, which a lot of other groups have noted quite happily when it comes to our groups. We look at aid in the nations that a lot of us reside in. The fact of, I mean, that's pretty much a welfare check. People talk about welfare of single mothers and welfare of this, but let's be honest, isn't aid, isn't country aid, world aid, isn't that another form of welfare that apparently people should African nations have that, and therefore should rich Africans or rich Black people, should they also be the ones who should we expect them to give to places where they come from? I mean, of course, my view on this is this. Do what makes you, I don't think there should be necessarily an expectation. I think it should be out of a desire to do so. I always think if you expect someone to do something, or if you demand something of somebody and it's not within their spirit to do it, I think that's more of an obligation, and it never goes down the right way. I think it should be something which we should encourage, based on a quid pro quo. We scratch their back, we protect them if they go through issues, we cover them if they go through problems, we make sure they have a nice sanctuary to come back to if something happens. That's what I believe it should be the case of. But again, in this situation of Paul Pogba, his own family, his own sanctuary is the one who really is the one who's betraying him. And then what we see with a lot of rich people, again, if we use example of rich black men, for example, one of the reasons why they always complain about why they let's be honest, they go down a path of they move out the community, they're out the community, is because guess what? We don't provide that sanctuary. So a lot of our rich people, let's be honest, they move away, they marry away, they feel they're not respected, especially if they come from especially if they're more on the intellectual side of things. I think maybe athletes, entertainers may have a different viewpoint. I could be wrong, like footballers, cricketers, etc., boxing stars. But traditionally speaking, let's be honest, a lot of people who may not even be rich, but let's say successful, a lot of them always come with the same story, and we can't ignore it, that they don't probably feel properly supported, properly protected, and therefore, guess what happens? They get a little bit more support, a little bit more protection from outside the groups, and they seem to glean towards it. Maybe some of it may be psychological, an image thing. Maybe some of it's mental, self-esteem thing. It could be all and none of the above. Situations are unique. But the fact of the matter is, this is what happens with a lot of our rich people. And stories like this isn't really going to make it a lot better. So my question is, how should rich people move? Is that an expectation that they should actually give back to the community? What would you do? Is my question. How would you play it? If you were, somebody who struck it rich from lottery or something like that, how would you move? How would you view giving back? How would you view even your own inner sanctum? Because there's another thing we don't really talk about. How do you vet your friends? How do you vet your family? Because one of the things which I think it was Charlemagne the God said this, and even though it says a lot of controversial stuff, he did say this really, really good thing. And I've put the link in the chat for people to come up, because I don't want to speak too long without your participation if you do want to come up. But one of the things that he did say was this: do you know, when you become famous and you come from a certain background, the one thing you have to do is immediately pay off your stupid family members, because it'll be your stupid family members who will likely release stupid stories to the press about you because they want to get their 5 minutes of fame, especially nowadays. I mean, you'd have to look at stuff like Meghan Markle and look at how many people they're trying to interview to try and get the last little scoop about who she is and what she was doing and what she was doing at, when she was 17, what was she doing when she was 21, what was she doing when she was 15? I'm like, flipping heck. So he was saying, look, you have to pay off people to shut them up, because if you don't, they're going to make so much more problems in the future. And this is what it seems like it needs to be. It seems like you have to pay off some family members or some friends who who they are, just to shut them up, because you just can't trust them. You just can't trust them. Mr. Pelu, welcome to the stream, bro. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
No worries. And I don't know how much you call to the stream, but the question is regarding well, it's kind of a twofold, but betrayal if you're rich, betrayed by your own family. I suppose the question is, how do you move in a situation where you have family members you can't even trust? How do you it's kind of it's a weird question to ask, but yeah, that's the opening one.
Yeah. I heard you for the last at least like 15 minutes from before. I heard a good bit. I heard a good bit of what you're saying, because I heard
Yes.
I don't know how long you lasted, but I've been listening for about at least 15 minutes, right? And yeah, this is a terrible story. I didn't know things was that bad with Paul Pogba. I mean, this is shocking. Like this is all news to me. I didn't know nothing about this, but this is incredibly shocking. And, it happens a lot, unfortunately, with rappers, entertainers, football. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, in America it happens. I mean, everybody knows in America we had the big story of Tekashi 5 9 snitching, but he was like, but but then he was claiming that they were extorting him, trying to sleep with his woman and trying to kidnap him. So yeah, these things happen. I mean, people extort people. If you have money, you can get extorted. I mean, if you're not careful, you
Even your own
to
brother,
make
bro.
a
This
low.
is the thing. It's his own brother. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's made it worse. But guess what? It can happen like that. I'll be honest with you, though. Even my family, I don't put that above my family doing something like that. I really don't. Be honest, just tell you the truth. To tell you the truth, I do not put that type of behavior among in my own blood family. I do not put that behavior above them. If I want to tell you the truth right now, if I want to be dead honest with you, no, they will stab me in the back too. Yeah, I mean, in life, you have to be comfortable that you might just be lonely. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you kind of gotta be comfortable with loneliness in order to avoid these type of things. You gotta be, you know what? you got to be like, you know what? These people ain't right for me. I'm gonna sit out lonely, even if it's a long time. Sometimes you got to be able to do that, or else once because if you need people around you, or you desire it, or you cannot live without it, you can't get extorted because people are just, unfortunately, this is unfortunate reality of life. I mean, you can't you no matter how you slice it, you can never depend on mankind, no matter how you slice it.
Man, that's a very harsh way of looking at things, but you're right. Sometimes you're right. And what's that famous song? Is it so lonely at the top? I think that's a song, isn't it?
Yeah, yep.
Funny
You
how
lonely.
it's
It's lonely at the top. If you
yeah,
want
yeah,
to be on the top, you have to be able to accept loneliness if you want to make it to the top. Because if you don't, that's what happens. Unfortunately, you have to accept that's part of being at the top.
yeah, yeah. I hear you, man. I hear you. JLC, welcome, bro. How are you doing this Sunday evening,
I worked my ass off, man. I worked 26 hours this weekend. Just at home
bro?
now.
Oh wow, I
Um,
hope I hope they're paying you for what you're doing.
you goddamn right they are.
Well, here's the thing: you might be one of those situations where your hard work is paying off. I don't know, obviously, what your ambitions are in that respect, but yeah, you come in a situation where you made it out in life. You've hit the jackpot, so to speak, and you may be faced with having own family members coming to betray you. I mean, first off, what's your
I
thoughts
told
on the
my
story?
thoughts. The story is sad. My mother goes through similar situations as she goes to Kenya. Everyone comes out with a handout. I go to Kenya. You can't come there single. Sometimes I don't even tell them that I'm going. And I choose the family members that are doing well. I mess with them a bit more because they can't get jealous or upset or triggered. And I think you just have to realize you've got to love people from afar. You've got to separate yourself. There's nothing wrong with us operating on a class level like any other culture. If you want to help them from afar. Don't get too close. Don't floss. And we have to realize that people can only save themselves. You don't care more about a drug addict than they care about giving up the drugs themselves. You don't do that because you go through the addiction and you experience a lot of negative emotions. So if people are, lagging behind, they expect to get picked up and carried along for the ride. My opinion is screw them, even if they're family members, and let them drop, man. You're doing the gene pool a favor. Unless they're handicapped or have severe disadvantage where they weren't privileged with the opportunity to perform, if they had the same opportunities as you and they pissed it away buffoonery, well, then let them deal with the consequences. You know what I mean? And I know it sounds horrible when people say I'm harsh, but at the end of the day, we live in a society where we try to protect people from consequences, okay? And a safety net this, safety net that. No, I say no. Unless you had a severe disadvantage unfairly, yeah, and otherwise, too bad. If you wanted it, you would have got it.
Ooh, nah, Jeff, that is harsh. That's a harsh opening. I'm not gonna lie to you. Come in here hard. Now, let me just say that. Let me ask this because that sounds like a very Western individualistic standpoint, which I made it, I did this, and if you not made it, that's because maybe your poor choice or da 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 outside of obviously said disability and whatnot, which ultimately you could argue, but could one of the things I've always noticed with life is sometimes luck. It's just luck. So are you a bit harsh to say, no, 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 or is it a case because, for example, you go back because I remember when I go to the Caribbean, I'm always told basically be careful about how you move because people got your hand out, but they're just living in like in fortunate situations. Is it not like have a heart, JLC? Have a heart. Is that are you missing a heart here, JLC?
Listen, I said for Caribbean, West Indies, third world country, they get a bit more I have more empathy for them because they don't have free education a lot of the time. You know what I'm saying? They aren't given the privileges that we are afforded here in the West, even though we're in the lower caste, yeah, of UK society, right? But when it comes down to us here in this society with free education, nah, man, I'm sorry, I can't be having it. If you're born mentally, slow, okay, if you have missing limbs, cerebral palsy, all right, Mr. Limb, yeah, fair enough. But in this society, you can make it. You have a good chance of making it. Put your nose to the grindstone and humble yourself. When I go to these third world countries, no one even knows. People think I'm a local. They can't even tell because I dress humbly. Okay, I eat in the local hoods. Okay, I just go about my business as a humble individual. And when I see people pull a Mogonga 10, which is a wagon, using their own brute strength in 36-degree heat uphill in Nairobi, I don't look down at that person. I'm in awe. And I say, you know what? God damn it, I wish Westerners, us, most of us, had that work ethic. 6 o'clock in the morning, He's a damn near camel. He's got like 15 1 liter bottles of water in a cart, pulling uphill in 33-degree heat. And I go, wow, that's a man who's willing to work to provide for his family, come what may.
Oh wow, bro, I hear you, man. I hear you. I hear you. Right, let me go to Kale. Kale, welcome. How are you this evening, bro?
Big up, brother. White Matters. Good that you're back online, brother. One of the best contributors of media, brother. And it's good to have you back, brother. Big up to everyone else on the panel. Just logged in, saw certain topics, and it's very interesting, but not surprising at the same time.
Oh, how do you mean? I mean, I suppose you're not shocked by the events.
But no, I'm not, brother. Unfortunately, no, I'm not.
Why do you think that is? I mean, one of the questions I was going to ask to the panel is jealousy a huge issue here when it comes to these situations, which is driving us or driving people to betray? Because the question is always, what's the motive? So what would you put the motive down to situations like this? Is it jealousy, envy? Is it what would you call it down to, or all of the above?
So just to get clarification, Paul Pogba, he betrayed. They did what? He
So
people.
his brother, what he's done, he's joined with a gang to extort his own brother out of 13 million euros, and he's threatening to release a lot of sensitive information about Paul Pogba, about his time at the club, about all kinds of things. But he's been extorted, basically by his own flesh and blood. So the question really is about obviously that side of things, and also a wider topic about, because Rich, obviously he's a rich, famous lad, so he's likely to get targeted. And is that something which we've seen so many stories like this from our people, unfortunately, because a lot of our people live in unfortunate circumstances. So yeah, I suppose the question now is, what's the motive? Is it just purely down to greed? Is it jealousy? What's it down to?
Well, brother, it's the same thing that we've always spoke about, and it's code of conduct, brother. You know, the ability to have a set of principles, no matter what happens, even if you feel emotional about certain types of situation that you may have faced, by one of our people, whether it be, you know, not getting this at that particular time, or was shouted at due to some, you know, altercation. Maintaining a code of conduct is something that we seem to lack, and the reason why that is because as a people, we don't provide security for one another. The African descendants globally, brother, they're the only unfortunately living organism that will do anything to get out of the fact of joining together. The ants, the insects, they all understand, in order for us to flourish in our building for our community as it pertains to the insect community, and that they won't betray each other. They're all synchronized. And with us, we seem to fail that you need a coalition with your people, even if you may not like them.
But let me just sort of give a little pushback or whatnot, because as much as that sounds good, all of us are still individuals, and we all still have our own minds. And picture this, you know, we're all part of the, you know, a group, a community, but somebody works harder. Somebody, you know, he works his butt off and he makes something of himself. And then you have people with their hands out asking, you know, for basically extra crumbs for something which you've worked so hard for. So I get the fact that you're saying we should be joined together, but I suppose, can we really be joined together in a situation where it seems as if we have people who more have their hands out to take, as opposed to put their hands in to give, if that makes sense?
Yeah, you know, if you are from our community, you are definitely responsible if you have loads of wealth to put in to help the community out. All
No,
non-African people. What was that? What was that? I didn't get that.
I think I don't know where JLC wanted to say something afterwards, so we'll get JLC afterwards. I think he wanted to say something.
Okay. Yeah, you're definitely responsible. You know, the community raised you to get forward in your talent. And the fact that you're going to have all this money and turn your back on the community and give your money to non-African people is definitely unsynchronized. You know, in African times, and that we all have different roles. Of
Hey,
course,
I want to jump in. Only reason I want to jump in because he said something that I don't want to be missed. How do you know that? How was he giving money to other people? Did you add? How did you factor that in? You said he's giving money to other people. How did you factor that in? I just want to know that.
well, when you look at the African descendants who are footballers and in the entertainment business stuff, right, they'll spend all their money to get things from non-African people, whether it be a big house in the white neighborhoods or brown neighborhoods, etc. And that they'll give all their money away for charity for non-African people, but won't give nothing for their people. And that returns back to the lack of coalition, that I don't have to look after my people because they're just not important. You know, this is definitely displayed by the rich African descendants. That's why, bro.
Are you sure? Are you sure this is happening? You sure? Because most rich black people I know, they try to give back to some black people. It's just that black people themselves get okay. The famous rapper, right? There's a famous rapper in America named Booty. His name is Boozy Badass, right? He has a famous saying: "They hypnotized by hate." You know what I'm saying? When people get hypnotized by hate, there's very little you could do about it. You just have to avoid. You kind of gotta be comfortable with loneliness, because when people get hypnotized by hate, it doesn't matter what you do for them. You can do anything. Look, even right now, I'm dealing with a situation with a stalker that actually helped them start off their own thing one time, but now they coming back and hating my success. They hate me. So, and I got a stalker right now who's making web pages about me and making whole gossip pages about me, trying to do the same thing. But I'm a grown man; it's different. But then my only problem is that he tried to attack some of my students, right? But yeah. Once people are hypnotized by hey, it don't matter what you did for that. Do you really think? I'm sure he was giving money to people. Like most black people who got money is giving money to some of their family or somebody. I don't believe that whole story that black people are not giving back money to their family if they're rich. Yeah, they might live in a neighborhood that's not that's not in the hood, but of course you're not gonna live in the hood. Like why would you be a millionaire still living in the hood? Like you're a target. You know what I'm saying? You're a target. Like there's some. Don't get me wrong. We have in America. There's very few like rich black neighborhoods. There's very few. Like there's some where black people can move into, like, you know, over here in PG County we got some. In Atlanta you got some. They got some DeSoto, Texas, and they got like in some places in LA like Baldwin Hills. But besides that, if you got money, there's no black place where you could just live that you could be a millionaire and just blend in. No, that's few and far between. I know in America it is. In America, it's few and far between where you could just be black and be a millionaire and just blend into a black neighborhood and everybody's black. No, I mean if you're a millionaire, you kind of gotta live in a white neighborhood because most millionaires are white. So you're not gonna live in the middle of the ghetto if you're well, in America at least. I mean of course you have other nationalities.
Brother, all due respect to you, brother, wouldn't it make sense to use that money to build a black community, brother? So you get loyalty of your people. And if you do decide to say to yourself, well, I don't really want to be controlled by non-African people anymore, those black people that you've helped out systematically with your wealth, they will help you more. Doesn't that make sense? Or do you think to be in the non-African community that you'll get more security being in there?
Nah, it makes sense. What you say, it makes sense, right? But that's a whole agenda that to develop communities is not okay. One young guy who's playing soccer or football, as you call it, we say soccer in America. One young guy playing football is not gonna be able to do all that. He's a young guy playing football. He don't have a foresight to make a whole a community, a whole nation builder. He's a guy who was good at football and got famous. You know what I'm saying? He's a good and became a millionaire. You're acting like he's the visionary of black national building and nation building. Nah, he's a one guy who learned how to play football real good and had a big break and became a millionaire. You know what I'm saying? So what do you expect him to do? Like he can't go save the world. He's just a footballer. I mean, he's a football. I'm not saying a footballer can't do a lot. Of course, we know We've had many famous athletes who've been very instrumental in the world, you know, like Muhammad Ali and all of them. But still, even him, how much can he really do? Like
And
at
you,
the end of the
Hello,
day,
hello.
you've got a
yeah.
point.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Sorry, JLC, I'm going to let you in. I just want to get Thomas in because he's been waiting patiently. You know, I just wanted to get that in. But I hear what you're saying because that is true. It one man into it. But I want to answer a question on that one because I've got something for that. Thomas, bro, welcome to the stream. How you doing this evening, and what you thought so far on the topic?
Good evening, bro. How are you?
Yeah, man, all life. It's all good.
I mean, it's a sticky situation because he's a millionaire, but I believe the question is should he give back to the community?
I mean, the icing topic. Yeah, should he give back? And also, should he give back to his family because his family's betrayed him? So one of the questions I was asking is, should you help your family? Now I've got Chelsea's viewpoint on this. Kale's and Pelly's thought on it, but yeah, I suppose my first question to you would be: should you give back to the family, or should you give back to the family and therefore the community?
Well, now you've given the context of his family betraying him. No, because how are you going to give back to a group of people who you thought you could trust and unconditionally love, who betrayed your trust? So I don't think you should give back. And in terms of community, I'm going to say something controversial, bruv.
Yeah, go for
There
it.
is no black community in the West.
Now, is that because of we are more individualistic?
Yeah, and also a community is supposed to prioritize things that are, important, like generational wealth, traditionalism, good morals. We don't do that in the black people don't do that in the UK and the US, bro. They don't do that. So I'm gonna say no to both questions.
That's that I mean, I want to say one thing I mean, it's hard to say they
What?
don't do that completely in the U.S. I know black people do that. It depends. I mean, is to be a broad that's a way broad statement for blacks in America. I don't know about UK. I don't live in the UK, but blacks in America are a mixed bag though. I mean, that's right for some people, but not for all.
But the thing is, what's very interesting is that
But I'm being too polite, man.
hold on, brother. Hold on. All due respect to it. What's very interesting is that the African descendants who have made it solo come from the ghettos, which was created by non-African people. They've seen what happens to their people, whether they're disfranchised with economics, certain types of warfare that goes on there, which is engineered by the government. And then when they get a shot, they will leave the ghetto. And you mean to tell me because he's made £1 million that he should forget where he came from, even though he strove to get out of that situation? That makes no sense. What makes sense is I'm going to sort out the area that allowed my people to be in situations that they had to fight out of, knowing that non-African people didn't have to face that. And I must use my money to sort that out, to get economics and get security so my people don't have to suffer under the government's oppression. That makes perfect sense.
Well, let me add on to that. Let me quickly add on.
Go ahead, Thomas, and then JLC. Sorry, JLC, you after Thomas. I promise.
Bro, you're thinking idealistically, not realistic. Not realistically. One man can't save a group of people. He's a footballer. You need to think broad, bro. Someone who has having a career as in sports, that is not enough to save a community. What you need is a group of like-minded individuals who can come up with a realistic and stable strategy in order to save a community. And even if you implement that, that still won't be enough because you have the government involved. So and also you need to think about this. Do people actually want to be saved? That's the question you need to ask yourself. When you become successful, when you become successful, bro, when you become wealthy, you need to think about yourself first, because, like, for example, when I become wealthy, I'm going to help those who are part of my struggle. There's a saying that I like: if you're not a part of my struggle, you don't deserve to be a part of my success. I only give back to people who are part of my struggle. That's, in my opinion, that's what everyone should do. Give back to people who helped you become successful. And that's all I have to say.
Now, brother, the reason why
Sorry,
that doesn't make any
Brother Kel,
sense,
sorry,
brother.
sorry.
Go
I
on, bro.
appreciate it. I just want to get JLC in because he's been waiting patiently. Then Brother Kel, I'll come back to your promise. JLC, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll go quickly. Kale, there's a couple of problems I have with your sentiment. Number one is most of these guys who have money, they're not even going to parent from a black woman anyway. So I don't know how you could keep on legacy when most of them are just going to go and submit to another culture anyway, by the choice of partner that they be with. Allah, Kobe Bryant, okay, or numerous black footballers you can name, Sadio Mane. The majority are with non-African descendant women anyway. So their children won't have the same allegiance to it because they're mixed most of the time. Number two is, why would you want to give back to a community where you're more likely to be killed in that community than if you're outside of that community? Why would you want to be around people like that who would happily stab you in the back, shank you, cut you up, steal from you more than any other demographic in this country? Why would you bother? And moving on to the Thomas's point, I agree with him as I often do. There is no community here. Anything you build here will not sustain the test of time. You're wasting your time. Survival of the fittest is needed. If you want to help people back, go and help them in predominantly black countries like Massa Desai or Didier Drogba, and build in countries where you're more likely to have a chance for it to sustain and stand the test of time. So, in conclusion, I came to that conclusion when I messaged Falcon Black last week before I resigned from the show. I just said I give up on the idea of a whole black British thing. I don't think you could build anything that's going to last. It's going to get mixed out. It's going to get broken down. It's not going to be cohesive. And it's going to turn into something degenerate like the Notting Hill Carnival as is now. So if I wanted to help back the community, I suggest you go to a country with a black population that's increasing and actually has a future. And that's just where I see it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Unfortunately, brother, I do agree with what you're saying about the interracial relationship. I'm not really a fan of it, to be fair, and there's many reasons why. However, when it comes to us as a people, brother, the reason why you have to give back, because we have many proof of the African Caribbeans historically doing a lot of revolutionary movements to fight for our people. We have that with the African Nigerians, the African Sierra Leone and Ghana and etc., and East Africa and South and Central and North Africa, with the exception of the European looking ones. That to me, bro, is a CV that our people care about our liberation. Non-African people, they don't have a CV doing that systematically, which is why for me to not help my people, even though we have a CV of being helped, is definitely a backstab in the back. Also, brother, is no disrespect to you and that. Revolution never came easy, brother. When it comes to our people, when you understand the psychological of the African descendants, right, we've been worked on, and it requires a lot of patience, strategy, and understanding. Not everyone's going to be on board, but that doesn't mean because no one's on board with what you're saying that you give up, because that means revolution.
I give up. 90% of us are done. Get 10% of us who could make it, maybe 5%, maybe, and build with them. Thomas, I could roll with. Wim, I could roll with, for various reasons, for different reasons. Those two, find a couple of people that share similar ideology, progressive thinkers, forward thinkers, with the ability to mobilize, grab them on that life raft, and get the hell out before the ship sinks.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I jump in now?
Well, hold on. Can I add on to what?
Okay, go on, Thomas, then Pelu, and then we'll go back to Kale because I think he's going to want to say something. Go ahead, Thomas.
Me and brother JLC, we agree on a lot of things, and this is one of them. Like, brother Wayne, you need to, and brother Kel, especially you, brother Kel, you need to understand that when you become successful, you really need to think about what's important to you, right? Do you want to have, like, for me, when I become high value and successful, I want a family. You know, I wanna create my own business, have a family, I have and create generational wealth. But you don't see that in the so-called black community. That's why I said there is no black community in the UK, because if you want to be a contributing member of society, you need to look at what are other communities doing. I often look at what the Asian community are doing, especially the Indian and Pakistani community. They're doing the right things. That's why they're much more stable. They, like, I envy them, because how, like, I often question how, where, when, why the black people in the UK become so individualistic. How they've taken in this twisted mentality as I'll be materialistic, and I don't care about anyone but myself. Like, I'm sorry, but it's backwards, because you see a lot of these footballers and rappers, they're just materialistic. They like buying these expensive things, and you don't often see them doing investment. I mean, I'm not going to assume all, but I'm sure some of them do, but it's not all of them. But when you think about Asian people, white people, just basically non-black people, there's an image that it's often image. You see them progressing further because they're in careers that have high income, whereas the brother that we're talking about right now, he's in a career that has high income, but we all know that his money is going to dry out very soon. And that's why I say brothers should get into careers that actually matter. And when I look at football, it really doesn't matter at all.
Well, brother, here's
Okay.
the thing, brother.
You
Here's the
mind if
thing.
can I jump in now?
Sorry, Kay. I'll let Pedro and then you can go after, I promise.
Okay, yeah. Speaking about what Tom was saying and everybody else was saying, first and foremost, we haven't really established what Paul Pogba was or what he doing for the family. I mean, it's hard for me to think he wasn't supporting a bunch of people, because even in America, all the stars are supporting a bunch of people. No matter how flashy they are, they're supporting a bunch of people. No matter how flashy you are in America, at least. I don't know anything about Europeans. I never lived in Europe, right? I could tell you the American experience.
As I say, Paul Pogba he's a Muslim, so they believe in charity, and I'm pretty sure he does donate to like UNICEF and stuff like that. So I'm pretty sure you're right. There are some levels of that. As to where it is, I'm not too sure. Continue.
Yeah, because we're acting like he's not. We're acting like because we get acting like, oh, what do you do? But he probably was supporting his family. But and you even said that his brother, who's part of the ring, was also a footballer. So his brother is gainfully employed and has enough money to support himself. Yet they're still extorting him. This is pure hatred. It's nothing to do with him not taking care of people. I mean, of course, he might have been able to do more. He might have been able to organize himself better. But then he's a young guy. He might not have good guidance. You know what I'm saying? He's a young footballer. He might not have the best guidance. And he's getting extorted by his brother and his friends he grew up with. I mean, this is a problem of eldership and him not having good guidance to know who to avoid and how to protect himself. Unfortunately, he probably didn't have a good mentors who taught him how to stay away from dangerous people. Unfortunately, and that's what's going on. But that's the main issue here. He's not being mentored correctly. But in terms of him not taking care of his family, I'm pretty sure he was supporting a bunch of people. I'm pretty sure. It's hard for me to believe, no matter who you are. I mean, some people are bad. I mean, it depends situation, because some people might not want to support their baby mama and something like that. But most people, they're supporting somebody. All these rappers who are famous in America, they're supporting some people. They got most of them got at least 20 people working for them. They're supporting somebody. They got their hood. They got somebody. I mean, I'm not saying we're the best at flipping the money and investing. We're not the best at it all. We're far from it, right? We need way more mentorship in that. We got people doing that and helping us in some, but we need a lot more Boyce Watkins. We need a lot more Dr. Claude Andersons. We need a lot more. We need a lot more elders who helping us. We do need a lot more elders. We need elders in every community.
Why should we help family members who have kids that they can't afford? And they come to you and say, "You've worked hard, you've got money, give me money because I have too many children and I can't afford it." Why should they be allowed? So let me finish. Why should they be allowed to go and live beyond their means and expect a handout. While you, Mr. Hardworking Gentleman, who was prudent, who worked his ass off, stayed within his lane, and you now have excess resources to what you need because guess what? You were prudent and smart and thought long term. Why the hell should I go and save people who need to be saved themselves? Why?
No, I'm not even saying that, right? What I'm saying is this, right? I'm sure he was helping people. We haven't established if he wasn't helping people or not. And you're right. He is not. People should not feel obligated to do that. I mean, if somebody had family, I mean, naturally, okay, I hear what you're saying, but naturally, families naturally help each other because people. That's how we survived for hundreds of years. So to tell you the truth, I do think it's part of nature to have some expectation of a family to be there for each other. I think it's just
Yeah,
natural.
mom and dad. Mom and dad.
Nah, not just mom and dad. I mean, look, like for example, I'm gonna give you an example. In my personal life, I grew up in a house with 3 bedrooms, and we had about 16 people living with us. I slept on the floor till I was 12. I ain't sleep on a bed from 5 to 12. Because I had a bunch of people living with us. We were poor. We just came out of Sierra Leone. We ran away from a war, and we was living in basically a shack in DC. So I mean like a little small time. But so you know what I'm trying to say. But we all help each other. We all help each other get out of poverty. We and my family wasn't poor in Sierra Leone. I actually came from a well-to-do family in Sierra Leone, but we lost everything in the war. We lost everything. We lost our properties. Everything got burned down. We lost. We took a huge blow in the war. We came here without nothing, right? So, but yeah, people help each other out. It's not just families, not just your mom and dad. Like I grew up with me my whole life. I grew up with my grandparents. You know, I still take care of my grand auntie. You know what I'm saying? I'm still taking care of her to this day. I mean, I take care of my nieces and nephews. Like it's not always just. In my culture, family wasn't purely nuclear. It was. We never thought of ourselves as nuclear. I grew up with a first cousin. Like okay. I'm closer with my first cousin. I call her my sister. She
So
died
brother,
2 years
breathe,
ago,
man,
right?
breathe, man. I don't want you to pass out of
No, that's the way I talk. I'm sorry,
hypoxia,
that's the way I
man.
talk.
Take a breath,
No,
bro,
that's the way I
please.
talk. That's the way I talk. Please. Anyway, I'm closer with my first cousin who I call my sister. I'm closer with her than my biological sister because we grew up like twins. So it's like it's like family is not just nuclear and to wrap things up. The community needs a lot more guidance. We need people to help him. But somebody like Paul Pogba, a child like that, he's still a kid. Probably I don't know how old he is. He's probably a lot younger than me. I'm 36. I bet he's younger than me. So he's not that old. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we can't expect him to be this. He's just a footballer who got successful, and he probably did work hard and stuff. But a lot of things just talent too. He just got successful and he made it. We can't expect him to be like the savior of everything. You know what I'm saying? But to make a long story short, this pure and simple is extortion, and people need guidance to protect themselves from this extortion. This is pure and simple because it's hard for me to believe he wasn't helping anybody. I bet you he was helping his mom, helping his whatever, helping some of his aunties. I bet you he was. It's hard for me to say he just wasn't helping anybody. I mean,
But that's the problem with handouts is that people become so acclimatized to what you give them for a period of time, and then they want more, right? And that's what I'm trying to say is sometimes only help family members in emergency situations, all right? Okay, emergency situations like healthcare fees, yeah, or ask them to come up with a business proposal, or hire them as employees. You need to think about ways where you can encourage them to try and develop a fishing net so that they can feed themselves for generations to come. So if Paul Pogba died suddenly, these people would be screwed because they would have been accustomed and increased their lifestyle to assume that his pay packet was going to come and help them.
yeah, but who's supposed to set that up? Paul Pogba, 20-something-year-old boy?
No. That's what I'm trying to say.
So JLC then. So are we saying? And this is what I'm going to get. I want to ask the whole panel a question. Is it because of it's probably the culture then, isn't it? It's the culture that surrounds a lot of these things. So I think JLC, to your point, are you saying that maybe the mother should say, "Okay, Paul, you're going to make a lot of money. Why not do it this way?" Because he knows, or they know, there's going to be a lot of leechers, hangers on, who want. I've used as aid, welfare aid. Now countries get aid from all these big nations, and they're going to expect a handout as opposed to working for it. Is that kind of how I assume you mean, JLC?
Exactly. Yeah. Even if you said family members, think of a business proposal that we can do, even in our home countries, something that encourages them to think and ownership, and to at least take the burden off the mule. Because right now they're just basically just milking his teeth until he drops dead, and the man has nothing left to give, and they don't care, and they become dependency. They don't think for themselves. They become kind of stupid because they just say, "Money, give me now, give me money, because I am your family." That's it. That's it.
I hear you.
No dragons there, nothing.
Let me ask this then. Kel, let me ask this question to you first, and then the rest of the panel can jump in because I think I kind of know what everyone's going to say on this one. Now, Kale, I know you're saying that we should give back to community that's who birthed us. But the issue is, and just a pushback, is the culture of the community may not be good enough for that to take place because, again, you see extortion, murders, thefts. So I suppose the question is, Kale, in this state of our current culture, the state of our people, should we only be really, should we be careful about how we move about things because of the culture of the people? I see people who even go to Africa and they get extorted out thousands of money trying to build back up in Africa. So is the culture the problem at the moment, Kale, which is why we can't do this build up by community? Is it the culture of the people because it's, well,
Yes.
jealousy, envy, poverty, whatever it is? But is it
No, the issue is, brother, and this has been said before me, and it will always be said. We as African people do not have a code of conduct. You don't have a code of conduct. Your code of conduct must be the principle of how your economics, your security, your movement, everyday life as African people should be heading towards. You can have your culture. There's nothing wrong with that. You can even have a little bit of fun, but your code of conduct must come before all that. And we can say, well, if I give this money, they're betraying. Well, it's simple. You don't have a code of conduct, so no one's going to oblige by these set of principles. It's kind of really simple. And as for the rest of the fellas on the panel and stuff, right, as following non-African people when it comes to economics, African people historically have always understood how to have collective power, whether it be in West Africa, East, South, Central, and North. The issue, what we forget, that we have been worked on, right? And non-African people always say, well, Africans have all these riches on the continent, they never make anything use of it. Well, the answer for them is, if that is true what you're saying, then we can say that you didn't practice economics properly because you ate all your resources and want to come to Africa. So the Africans, we know how to economicize our wealth and resources because we understand there's going to be a rainy day, but we should never learn from non-African people how to practice a collective betterment of economics. Africans been doing it way back. Code of conduct is the solution. Controlling your dopamines for your people is the solution.
Right. I know Jesse made a comment on that, but Thomas, I know, did you want to say something on to my, well, in response to what I said or even what Kale said at all? I know you had,
So the question is it the community?
Is it culture? So
The culture.
the issue regarding the reason why at this current state of play, to Kale's point, it's idealistic, but it's not going to work out because the culture right now is backstabbing, your own blood, greed, theft, handout. Is that the problem? The culture of the people?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You need to remember, bro, the UK with it and the US, they're very liberal. This
But Thomas,
liberal
sorry to cut in, Thomas. Sorry to cut in, but I've even heard examples of people going to the continent and they've been scammed because, again, you're from a Western nation.
Yeah, I've heard it. Yeah.
All these situations.
You know
So I can't even say the UK, US in this sort of liberal way, man. Well, that's my opinion at least. Continue.
No, you're right. You're right because I've been to Nigeria 3 times, bro. Telling you right now, I'm never going to Nigeria again. I am never going to Nigeria again, bro. It's too dangerous. I went to my parents' villages, and every time they can tell you may be Nigerian, Tom. You know, right? Your parents may be Nigerian, but you are not one of us. They could tell that I was a foreigner, bro, based on my mannerism, based on how I operated. And I was with my siblings and my friends. So you can, despite being a Westerner and having Western teachings and generating wealth from the West, it still does not apply when you go to the motherland because the motherland is corrupt. It's very corrupt, especially if brothers want to, have great intentions to do well in Nigeria. I'm sorry, you're gonna fail because the government will not allow you.
Well, brother, this speaks to what I was saying because people are saying what I'm saying is idealistic, which is very strange in that because if you are facing against a great enemy, a common enemy, then realistically you have to unite with your people on a code of conduct. Fidel Castro did it with Russia. Fidel Castro, of course, is an Italian, but he understood in order for
Fidel
Cuba
Castro is Cuban. He's Cuban. His
hold on,
family came from Spain.
brother, you're leapfrogging, and you're not gonna fall in the pond, right? He had an alliance with Russia. He's not Cuban, brother. He's an Italian. You can research it. You
Nah,
understand,
Fidel
brother?
Castro's from Spain. His family's from Spain.
Brother,
You can read everybody. I've Google
brother,
researched this. He's Spanish. He's a
brother.
Cuban from Spanish descent.
He has Italian ancestry as well, brother. Okay. Now the thing is, right? He understood in order to get prosperity and power, I need to have alliance. Now the brother was speaking, saying going to Nigeria, they're corrupted, etc. and stuff, right? Now, brother, you're thinking very idealistic to think that you're gonna go into Nigeria and not understand that in order for me to connect with my people, I need a code of conduct. You see, you want us to be loyal when we haven't formulated a curriculum to be loyal. That makes no sense. You see, in the 1800s, right, the Asian community formulated a pan-Asian movement, China, Japan, and India. Go and research it. They understood the Europeans are going to attack us more, so we need to unite. The Arabs formulated
China and India hate each other, man.
right? They did all those things. You see, the only people who make excuses and think that I can be in certain countries and lands and have my own thing and nothing's going to happen is the African people. You need a code of conduct and alliance in order to get your power back. That is not idealistic, brother.
How are you going to do that? How in the hell are you going to unite all of us?
You mind if I say something real quick? Let me say something real quick. I want to go to this thing real quick about hold on quick. Early life. Castro was born out of wedlock at his father's farm in 13th August 1926. His father Angel Castro Arguez, a veteran of the Spanish American War, was a migrant to Cuba from Galicia in northwestern Spain. So thank you very much. He's of Spanish descent. I just want to make that clear because I don't like when people try to talk all the crazy stuff like they know stuff and act like I don't know what I'm talking. And act like I don't know what I'm talking about, please.
Brother, let me say one thing to you, brother, right? Does that change the fact that he had a coalition with Russia? Does that change that fact?
That's an ideological coalition between communists. But you said he's Italian, and then I said nah. You just mad because you don't know what you're talking about. That's all.
You see, with our people, we want to argue over petty things. The thing of Fidel Castro, brother, which you fail to understand, he was under attack by a great common enemy. So he united with Russia in order to keep Cuba in power. This is why our auntie Assata Shakur from the Shakur family was able to run into Cuba, because there were some power there. But you're debating with me, brother, over he was a Spanish and things like that. Irrelevant.
You said it. You said it, and you said no. You said it. You said it.
Put the guns down. Put the knives down. Put the knives down. Put the knives down,
brother. The reality of it, brother. Whether you were
you
Spanish
said it's not
or
me.
Italian, bro.
You argued, you're not me. You're just spinning everything that you did against me, and stop doing that. I'm not a coward. I'm not a coward. Please stop doing that coward stuff, man. I'm not with that coward stuff. I'm not with that coward stuff. Please.
Can we have some unity, please?
Okay. Shame on me for making a mistake, right? However, it doesn't change the fact, brother, that you're going to have to create allies with one another in order to get the power back.
I agree.
Non-African person does that. Okay.
Brother Kale, I just want to ask this, because this is the question here where I suppose maybe we're probably getting a little bit disconnected, because we agree with that. It's just Fidel Castro was like a leader. Paul Pogba and people of that ilk we're just individuals. And maybe this is where you probably think more that we can do as an individual. Because say me, I can want to have a code of conduct with all these people. I could want to do this, but I know I have only limited power because I don't have any governmental backing, no military backing. I'm just a human being like you are. I mean, I can probably get together with someone who thinks on the same wavelength, but I don't have governmental power. I can't change taxes. I can't create these economic relief programs. I can't partner with other groups or other African nations. I'm just me. I can probably try and help conversations at best, but I can't do any of that kind of stuff. I mean, can you really expect a human being like Paul Pogba or someone like that to really think on those levels, on those terms, or is it just a case of, I don't know, just with your family, and that's really it, if that makes sense?
What
Well, brother,
family?
here's
We
the
don't
thing,
have
right?
families.
Hold on, brother. All due respect to it, he's in a position of power because he has money.
But is it
Okay.
influence, not power, though? That's what I'm going to ask. Is it more
But,
influence, not power?
but brother, he has money though, brother. You see? Now, the money that he has, if he was synchronized based upon the liberation of his people, then he would use that money to formulate a government under a government. In hockey, brother, you have these curriculums. You've got the
Oh,
NFL, the main, and then you have these small ones where they are in motion. So you can formulate a little government, brother, until you are prepared collectively to overthrow an oppressive government. You see, the Italians did it in Italy, brother. You see, they understood when the aristocrats came over Italy, sorry, and they were, you know what I mean, subjugating the people. And what did the people do in that? They decided to say to us, you know what, we're going to take this and take that, and they formulated a organization called the mafia. You see, brother, it was very small, and they formulated that. We can do the same thing, brother, but we're going to have to sacrifice our desires of individualism to create collectivism for our people. Are we willing to do that?
Can I ask you a question, Kel?
I'm sorry, bro.
So one
Okay.
sec, Tom. Let Chelsea
I'm
ask the
sorry,
question.
Tom,
Tom,
you
I'm
go.
coming to you. One sec.
Okay.
Go on, Chelsea.
Tom,
Go,
you
Chelsea.
go. You go. Let Tom go. You go first.
All right, Tom, on you,
Brother
Chelsea.
Kel, Brother Kel, I'm sorry, man, but you're thinking too idealistically. The brother footballer, he doesn't. This is not a football. Sports is not a career of productivity, bro. It is not. You can get money, but you don't have any power or influence. That's no. When people think about football, they're not thinking about these footballers having analytical decision making power. No, footballers don't have that. That's what I'm saying. If you want black men to have political and influential authority, you need to look at black men in careers that actually make decision making. For example, STEM, IT, engineering, science, mathematics, politics, law. The careers, the professions I'm naming right now, those are positions of power, right? This
Thomas,
young brother right here.
Thomas, just want to, just want a quick pushback. I forgot about this, and this is kind of Marcus Rashford, as to what he did. What would you say that is?
Marcus
With
Rashford.
the school meals.
Is it a
the
guy?
free school meals.
That's an
remember?
exception, brother. Yeah, I remember. That's an exception. I big up that brother for doing that. That was a noble cause what that brother did. But again, bro, how long is he still doing that?
I think it was only for a short period of time.
You see that? There you go, brother. There you go. You can't continue that. You can't continue that. You need to. That's what I'm saying. Footballers, they do noble things, but these are for short periods of time, brother. Black men who are in professions of productivity, they can do things for long term. Like black men in politics, they have real power. Black men in IT, real power. If black men who are not in productive professions, they can't make any change, bro.
Hey,
They
I
can't.
have to disagree with you because look, he's still generating capital. I get what you're saying, but he's generating capital. It can't be redirected and reinvested. If he's generating capital, point blank, period. If he's generating capital, it can't be reinvested.
Brother, just because he's generating money, that doesn't mean he's making change.
I didn't say that, but I purely did not say that. I didn't even say something that could even be misconstrued as that. You purposely miss saying what I was saying because I didn't even say something that could even be misconstrued as that. I was real clear and real simple.
What are you saying?
I said because he's generating money that still could be redirected because he's generating capital. Generating capital could still be redirected because you could be reinvested.
So what? It just that's So what? That's not
What you
change.
mean? So what? Millions of if you're generating millions of dollars in capital, that could be redirected to a lot of productive things. What you talking about? So what?
That's
Millions of
right.
dollars in capital?
Nighttime voice, please, brother. In the UK, it's coming minutes to
I
midnight.
don't
You're
care.
having
It's daytime in
nighttime.
America. Look, I'm daytime. It's daytime in Glenarden, Maryland. It's
I'm
daytime over
putting
here. Look at the
turn your
sun.
camera off, man.
It's
I don't need to
daytime
see
over
your
here.
face, man. Turn it
It's
off.
Looks nice
daytime
though.
over
Yo, it
here.
looks
Turn it
nice, bro.
off,
It looks
man.
nice
Turn
where
your
you're at,
Yeah,
man.
camera
It
yeah,
looks
off,
yeah,
real
man.
yeah,
Turn
nice.
off your camera.
brothers, stand if the brother expresses himself that way, it's not for us to challenge for him to express it the way we want to. If that's how he speaks and he's made it clear, that's how he expresses himself, then we have to let him be. I can have patience and understand. We all need to, and that we're not all the same when it comes to rhetorical speaking. All due respect to everyone.
Brother Kel,
That is
all I'm saying is this. Sorry, JLC, I'll let you come in after. All I'm saying is this. This particular brother, he cannot make change because he is not in a profession that enables that change. He doesn't have political and influential authority. He's a footballer. Yeah, he has a lot of followers on Instagram and Twitter and other social media platforms, but he can't make real power. He can't make real change.
I think you've
Let me ask you
misunderstood,
this then.
Joseph. You've misunderstood because, right, there are, especially in African time, but we have different roles. If you are financing, brother, then that's your job. There are some of us are good at politicizing our struggle, then that's your job. But you cannot say, oh, because he has the finance, right, then he should automatically politicize. No, but we may not be skilled in that way. But the fact that he's using his money for our people to combat certain things, then that's betterment. That's black betterment.
Yep, I agree. I agree. I agree. And I just want to add one thing I forgot what I was about to add. I'm sorry. Okay, I remember later. All right.
right. JLC, I know you wanted to come in, bro. So, what do you want to say?
Okay, so I just want to know is listen, this code of conduct, yeah. How in the hell are you going to discipline the least disciplined, okay, unruly, yeah, group of people, arguably in the UK? So my question to Kel is, how are you going to discipline this? And let's me just say this: look at the carnivals, watching the news clips today between work, and I see people twerking behind news reporters, half naked. Now, to me, this is disgusting, shameful, disgraceful, embarrassing. And if I had a daughter who did that, I'm going to prison for reasons I don't want to go into. Right? But obviously, I can't. The code of conduct is against me. It actually promotes dressing like that, behaving like that, and doing like that. So you want me to join in a group where that type of behavior is condoned, celebrated even, and is synonymous with my culture, whereas I could be better assimilated on a cultural basis while I'm in the UK with other groups who would feel repulsion and disgust to what was being celebrated in quote unquote my group. So why would you encourage, or how could you even enforce a code of conduct? I mean, I think you need damn near Sharia law and CCP enforcement to get us to even have any semblance of a group or unity. So I'm asking, how are you going to do this code of conduct when most of us can't even pair up with people that look like us?
Well, brother, first of all, in that, brother, it's no secret that I am a Pan-Africanist, and we have a principle that all African people are one people, whether you are dark skin, light skin, whether you are Muslim, Christian, whatever you speak in whatever African dialect. The second thing is self-determination in all things. The third is Africa for the African. And the fourth is what the Honorable Marcus Garvey says, that he doesn't believe that you should make an image of the creator, but if you are going to make an image of the creator, then it should look like you. Codes of conduct, brother, is very important. When you go into a lift, brother, you are using a code of conduct that you don't stare at people too much. You don't go in their comfort zone because it's very confined. You're sticking to a code of conduct, brother. Now, if we have code of conduct in the lift, on the buses, in workplaces, brother, and people are governed that way, then you can definitely have a code of conduct with your people. Now, here's the trick. First of all, brother, right, you have to make sure that you are tackling the issues that our people are facing. And you have to be consistent with that, consciously, sincerely, right? That has to be the objective. Now, if you're half-hearted, then we got a problem, right?
Hold on,
But you have
hold on.
to understand. Go on, go on, go
Okay,
on.
what I'm trying to say is, this is why I kind of drifted out of this whole Black British thing, and I just say screw it. To be honest, yeah. How could you even encourage a group of people who they themselves, most of them are overweight, have kids out of wedlock, don't have any sort of personal, and they're obese, yeah, have loads of diseases. They can't even, people can't even discipline themselves. They can't even, people can't even have stable families, right? And you expect them to go and join with a code when they can't even have a code to themselves to treat themselves well and to be the best version of themselves. And you expect them to go and jump on board and listen to you. I mean, what's the point? So I'm coming back to my point about genetic determinism. Okay, I'm a savage beast. I believe we're animals, just like most other animals. Okay, at the end of the day, we need to institute survival of the fittest. People will die. People will drift away. People will suffer the consequences, and hopefully, may not reproduce. And I've come to the point now that unless you get serious illness or disability or cancer or something horrible like this, I think we need to have a weeding of the chaff, genetic material needs to improve. And that sounds horrible, and you might think I'm Ayn Rand or something, but at the end of the day, um, I don't think everyone can be saved, and I'm not going to bother saving them. Um, uh, and I wouldn't encourage anyone to bother saving them unless they have a disability. If people want to survive, they'll come to you and try to offer you a service or some sort of exchange for what you're doing for them. And if they do that, fair enough. But I don't see why Paul Pogba has to do anything. His genetics and talent got him there. They weren't there to help him. His mother probably just spread her legs on her back, got pumped full of seed,
Bro,
and she got what?
Yeah, this is
And there
very
you go.
very unsynchronized thinking that you're saying there. First of all, survival of the fittest comes from the Europeans. We're not animals. That's what the Europeans believe in. And second of all, brother, that whether you like it or not, that the African descendants as a whole, brother, we know how to do sports, etc. This is nothing new. The trick is, are we going to use our talent to free our people? For example, Muhammad Ali, a brilliant example, right? Not only was he a greatest boxer, but he used his money, he used his political power to help his people. Tupac Shakur, another example that did them thing. They didn't give up on the community. They stuck at it until death. So what you're saying, brother,
And
no
look at the
disrespect.
community now
Hold on, brother,
after their
hold on,
death.
brother. I'll let you have your say. I'll let you have your say, right? So we have great examples. Now, the black community, unfortunately, they failed you, brother, right? We have failed you and we failed each other. And I can understand due to the fact of, because we've been in this situation so long, to see that hope of our liberation can be far-fetched. Nevertheless, brother, ancestors did it before, and they made sure that we can survive in some ways and to reap a little bit in order for us to make the grand move of our liberation. And I think you need to focus on that and
What
not
does
focus
liberation
on
mean to you?
liberation. To me, brother, is full control on the African continent, on the Caribbean, and for African people. That's liberation. Full control in all things without non-African people interjecting and controlling.
Okay, all right, okay. Good luck with that in the UK. That's not going to happen. We can't even control our own women. Can't even control our families. Can't control the economies in our own communities. I need this guy. This guy wants goddamn President Xi Ling or Jinping of Lewisham. Good luck.
let me ask this to panel. Let me ask this to panel in this respect, because should we expect more from rich people? That's part of the live stream, because we seem to put a lot on rich and famous people to do more, I think, respectively, than somebody who's maybe like a doctor or a solicitor or an accountant who may have, or a plumber who may have better skills than I don't know, or maybe it's just the money side. But question is, do we expect more from people who are rich and famous than we would do for people who are not? Do they have a bigger part to play in this?
Of course they do, brother, because if you're looking at it from, okay, I'm looking at it from an African centered, right?
Right.
But let's look at it carefully. They were given their money due to the will of the creator, right? So if you are rich, you're naturally responsible for the poor. In fact, if everybody, the rich, were to give their money accordingly, justly, there'll be no poor people. You see? So the fact that they're not doing that, something's not right.
Are you a
Something's
communist,
not right.
bro? Are you a communist?
Brother, I'm a Pan-Africanist. Brother White Matters asked the question, and the answer makes perfect sense. Do you understand?
So
You
you
know,
want the more successful to give their money to the less successful just because of DNA.
no, the rich are responsible for the poor. They are responsible. You know, if they, as I said, I'll repeat myself again, right? If the rich disputed the wealth correctly, because they have money, they don't need all that, there will be no poor people. This is a fact.
Is it reality?
So JLC, then let me ask that question to you. Then, your viewpoint: should rich people, I think I know, should rich people be under more, not I won't say pressure, have more responsibility to give back?
Idealistically, it would be nice if they did, but realistically, I don't think they have any pressure to do so. If they manage to escape the quagmire of the black community and earn money based on genetic gifts or skills or a mixture of both, I think they have they shouldn't feel any sort of compulsion to have been lucky or talented to escape that cesspool functionally and successful. I would basically leave and not look back. And if there was talented individuals who I could save, then I would do that. But for the majority, I would just let them burn.
Ooh, I'm going to go to Thomas in a second. I just want to ask you this, but my question is: how would you know if they're talented unless you don't give them some sort of a good enough rope or a ladder to be able to get to where you got to? If that makes sense.
That's where I agree with you. I would do some sort of schooling or after school program or club or youth club, and you advertise it, and the ones who are interested would usually drift towards it anyway. I think
Right.
once the people ask the question, the teacher will appear. Or that other saying they say is that oftentimes you'll see people who, even in very poor environments, if you put the opportunity to them, some of them, always the minority, would drift towards it and improve and show talent and application for something. And those are the ones you say, maybe 10%, 8%, 12%, and then that's it. The rest, well, you had the opportunity, you didn't take it, too bad.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. You are very on that side. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. Thomas, bro, what are your thoughts on that question?
I mean, see, rich people. So we need to clarify. Are we talking about celebrities?
Well, successful as well. So it could even be a wealthy business owner who you may not know, just like Levi Roots. I know he's more well known, but you know what I mean. A successful business owner. Some of the dragons on Dragons Den, I have no idea who they were until they're on Dragons Den. So rich and successful as well as famous, all those kind of groupings. Successful.
Yes and no. I would say when you're talking about high value individuals who come from revered professions, it's kind of expected. And they do help. For example, you mentioned Dragon's Den. I know one of the Dragon Den judges. He has a program. He has a entrepreneurship program on the BBC website. That you can
Peter Jones?
enroll to. So he, pardon?
Is it the Peter Jones guy? I think.
Yeah, him. I remember him advertising it whilst I was on the BBC website. So he's helping people, become entrepreneurs. I actually expect that from people who are into the business side as well as IT, mathematics, engineering, basically STEM. Now, those are people who do help, right? Now, when you talk about celebrities like actors, entertainers, musicians, I don't. Excuse me. I don't expect them to do anything, bro. Sure, they might help. Like for example, Stormzy. I remember he did a scholarship for black students to get into Russell Group universities. That was great. I respected him for that. But brother, that was short term. You see, there's a pattern. All of these entertainers, they do noble causes, but they're only for short term. Whereas black people who are into the revered professions, they do things for long-term periods.
Okay, so what you just said there, so you said that the black people who are not in the entertainment business and stuff, right? Have they destroyed white supremacy to get full control on the African continent, and for us in Europe to have a fair leeway in the school systems and distribution of economics fairly? Have they done that, brother?
No, they haven't.
Now, this is the problem, brother, because one thing we do as a people, and this is down to non-African people, they have given us these titles like, first class, second class, third class, right? And these types of classes has nothing to do with that you're going to have to get your control back. You see, while we're focusing on these things, I'm a lawyer, or I'm a doctor, right? This is to distract you. While the non-Africans who control the world, they're not even academic. They definitely don't have no PhD. But one thing they rely on, brother, is the economics of collectiveness and security of military base to protect that. And this is what we're not understanding. You can have all the degrees all you want, brother. I know we're from our people, like W.E. Du Bois, a Pan-Africanist. He's the father of the bourgeoisies when it comes to that thing, but it didn't get our control back on the African continent. All due respect to you, brother.
I understand that, bro. Don't get me wrong. I do understand that, but there's only so much you can do. I know Akon, he's trying to make a difference. And where's Akon now? Where is he now? Ghana? Kenya?
Senegal.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I know he's trying to. I know he's trying to do his best. I know he's a high value man. I'm sure he's got. I'm sure he has connections. But brother, there's only so much you can do. You need, you have so many forces that are against you in order to make that change. That's why, if like brother Kel, what you're saying is idealistic, and bro, it's not gonna happen, bro. It's never gonna happen. All this idealistic talking points that you are giving me right now, bro. I'm sorry, but it's not gonna happen.
All right, let me jump in real quick. I just want to say something real quick. Like I understand what everybody's come from. I'm sympathetic to what Kale wants, but let's get back to. I just want to say that it's still for this particular topic and this particular situation. How is that one boy, Pogba, Paul Pogba, gonna do all that? Like he's a boy. Like this is something that should be done from before, and this is something that elders need to set up, and he needs to have good mentors to set him up correctly. So I think we should switch the onus from somebody like Paul Pogba, who's just a boy who could play some soccer and got rich, to what is the leadership? What do we have real eldership to build this cause up? Because I think we expect too much from a boy. I mean, yeah, we had some people who tried to do a lot in their young time. We had like Tupac when he died when he was 20, 25, and he made a little bit of, he made an impact. But even him, I don't know about what lasting investments he has. He had a cultural impact, but I don't know what concrete investments he have. You have Nipsey Hussle. He had his storefronts and his stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So people are doing it, but to get everybody together and to understand that, we need like bona fide elders to do that, and that's what we need to act like. What did the last generation do for us? Why is Paul Pogba in a situation where he doesn't even know who to trust? He's surrounded by family that's extorting him. Like who's looking out for him? Does he have an uncle or somebody or a father? They'd be like, hey, look, these people are messing with you. Don't let them mess with you like this. This is what you're gonna do. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's like, I don't blame Paul Pogba. He's a young guy. He's a young guy who just got thrown with a bunch of money before he knew what to do with it. You know, and that's natural. He's probably in his 20s. You know, so we need.
You know what, bro? You know what? You just made me think of something. You speak about, our elders, those who came before us. Now, brothers in the panel, do you think our elders have failed us? That's why we're in the situation we're in.
110%. Yes.
Yes, yep.
You
Now,
speak right. We have so many factors. Hold on, brother. Hold on. There's so many factors. So many factors. I remember on Brother Vulcan Black's channel, we was talking about black men being raised in single mother environments. Black men, they've lacked strong traditional role models. Strong conservative black men, yeah, they are required to raise the next generation of strong black men. But because there's a lack of accountability and poor decision making, look, this is the result. You can't trust this young brother can't even trust his own family members. I'm assuming he was raised by a single mother, right, Brother Win?
that I'm not too sure about, actually.
What's very
Got
interesting,
white partner, that's for sure.
hold on, brother. What's very interesting, right, is that you're talking about the young man, right? And the thing is, that young man is going to be around young non-African people. Now, every young person old knows that you have to practice collective work. We all seen it from the non-Africans, even though you shouldn't learn off them. We've done it before them. And you mean to tell me that he's around non-African people, seeing how they operate, and doesn't have the realization to say, I should start a collective code of conduct to help my people? Is that what you're trying to tell me, fellas?
But
Yes,
come
yes,
on,
yes.
man.
Look,
He's not
I'm personally telling you
Mohammed.
that. I'm personally telling you that. I'm personally telling you, yes. Just because he's around some non-black people does not mean they're peeping him onto game. He's not being put on game. They're not there to put him on game and to school him. Yeah, he might peep game if he's incredibly intelligent. I don't know his intellectual capacity. I just know he's a footballer, right? He might be able to peep game if his intellect is up there like that. He can see things and maybe be a genius. He might be a genius. I don't know. But for a regular person, he's not. They're not there to people. They're not there to teach him nothing. He's there because he can play football good, and they're paying him to play football really good. That's why he's there. They're not there to school him. They're not there to educate him. So yes, I'm saying that.
But my brother, here's what you got to understand, right? Every black person understands Asian people practice generational wealth collective. Middle Easterns and Europeans, we have just admitted on this panel that we have to do what they do. And you mean to tell me, brother, right, that we're around them, and you're trying to say that he's not going to say to himself, if they can do it, I can do it. Is that what you're trying to say, brother?
Can I answer that? Can I, bro? JLC, hold on, brother.
Yes, I'm saying that. Yes.
Let me answer that.
Go ahead, Thomas.
So it's a social conditioning, bro. That's you. I understand. It's basic common sense. This brother's around non-black people who have communities. Surely he should have that initiative to say, "Hey, maybe I can take their teachings and apply it to my fellow people." But brother, you need to look at him as an individual. Look at his past experiences. Look how he was programmed. That's why he doesn't want to create. He doesn't want to focus on his people because of his inner demons. Those inner demons, those past experiences, they're preventing him from doing that. And that's great. That's a lot. That's good justification. Why would you help people who never helped you in the first place?
And I want to piggyback on that real quick. This is one line. Even look at his current situation, he's getting extorted by his own brother and his family friends. Think about it like that. So guess what kind of background? If you come from a background where you're getting extorted by your own brother, who also plays football, so he's not like he's in poverty, and your childhood friends, what kind of mindset he's gonna have for loyalty to his community necessarily? Like it's a lot to do. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So be realistically speaking, I hear what you're saying, Kel, but at the same time, no, yes, just because he's around other people the logic is not going to necessarily follow because of his personal experience. You don't know. He need to make a long story short. It still comes back to people need mentorship. These young guys need mentorship. Thank you very much.
That's what I
But
tried to
the
say.
thing is, fellas, which you fail to understand, non-African people treat us very badly. We've faced racism in all aspects of the field entered.
Brother,
Oh, hold on, brother, hold on. So here's the thing, right? If we are facing it from them, you mean to tell me that we don't want to put up with certain things in our own community, but we want to put up with what non-African people do to us? Is that what you're trying to tell me, fellas?
No,
Brother
no,
James,
of course.
you can take this one. You can take this one,
Okay.
Brother James.
Yes. I'm trying to tell you that. I'm trying to, just for the record, before you can talk, but I'm trying to say that just for the record. Yes, I'm saying that.
Okay,
Jesus,
JLZ,
man.
all yours.
Okay, did he just say yes?
Yeah, Pedro said yes to Kale's question. If I understood that correct, yeah.
Yes, I said yes. That's all I wanted to say. I said yes.
Why?
Because it's like you might think it's easier, but look, if it's all you grew up around, I mean, it depends on how you grew up. I don't know Paul Pogba's life, right? But like for example, I never was racially hurt by white people. Very few incidents, right? But then again, I never lived in the white area. I've never lived in a black or white neighborhood a day in my life. I don't know what it is to live around a bunch of white people. I have no idea what it is even is. By the time I was a kid, by the time I was born in Sierra Leone, the time I came to DC, the time I went to college in Atlanta, everywhere I lived was all black dominated. I never lived with a bunch of white people who were oppressing me. So I don't know what it is to have a physical white man over my head oppressing me. I have no idea what that is. But I know how I live in the hood is. I know how rough my people are. So it doesn't necessarily follow because of history of black people treating people like that. Not everything is crystal clear. Like not all white people are racist. Not all black people are good.
Truthful now, brother.
Not all skin folk.
Respect, yeah, you're not being truthful now. You
How am I not being truthful though?
Hold on, brother. All due respect here, beloved. You are in America, right? And you've just said you have never experienced non-African people personally, but you experience.
I have very few cases. Very few cases.
Brother. All due respect here, but you see African Americans and other African descendants, brother, that are facing racism in all the fields in America, brother.
I'm not being dishonest. You understand? You have to learn. You have to know what America is. Look, you have to know what America is. Like, for example, I'm gonna tell you right now. My town, Glenarden, right? My township, Glenarden, is literally 95% black. We don't have a single white person anywhere around here. We have one Asian family right there, right? We have one Asian family that's this right there. They're Vietnamese. Besides that, everybody here is black. We just started having a couple Hispanics move in a couple houses. Everybody's black for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. Go into the next township, see Pleasant. Everybody's back to the hood over there. Like right down the street from me. This is Armour Road, the main road there, and then over there is Martin Luther King Highway. If you know anything about USA, if you are on Martin Luther King, you ain't seen white faces on no Martin Luther King Highway in America. From Martin Luther King go all down. This is all just black neighborhoods, everywhere. So it's not all black people are living around white people like that. America is still sort of segregated, and not all black people just living around in the hood. Very few white people live there. Just a fact. America is not like England, where you only 3% of the population. America got 40 million blacks, and blacks tend to concentrate in certain areas. So it's not like it's a big difference between England and America. You can't compare England and America together because here we have real black communities where just black people. Like here, I never even seen a black. The last time we had a white mayor, even in this PG County, was Glendenning. Early 90s, everything that was black in DC. We had Marion Barry. I never seen a white mayor in DC ever in my life. I never seen a white mayor. I never seen a white mayor in DC. Still to this day, we got a black mayor, Muriel Bowser. I never seen a white mayor. I never seen a white anything. I never seen even in the city council. Who's white over here? No one. It's just all black faces.
You're not being truthful with the reality. You're
how?
Not being
how? You don't live in America. How you gonna tell me that?
Brother. First of all, brother.
I'm gonna take a survey. I'm gonna go around the neighborhood, take a survey. I'm gonna go around the neighborhood, take a survey.
Brother. Right?
You're not being truthful. You don't have to do all that.
Without reality, brother. You're not being truthful without reality.
I'm going around the neighborhood right now. I'm going to go around the neighborhood right now. Okay, watch this.
Rob, stop.
I'm gonna go around my neighborhood. My neighbor's all black.
You're not being
I'm about to go around my neighborhood.
This guy's gonna get stopped by the police, bro. He's behaving drunk and disorderly.
No, I'm not James. I live here. I'm from here. Ain't nobody gonna say nothing to me. What the
You're
hell are you
not
talking about?
being truthful with your reality. First of all, brother, white
Um,
supremacy. Hold on, brother, or Jews. First of all, white supremacy, brother, has disfranchised and disrupted Africa, which led for you to go to America like a lot of us had to go into Europe, etc.
hey,
Second
let's.
thing, brother, hold on, brother, right? You just said, brother, because you're personally not facing anything, right? That means that everything is all right. Now, brother, I'll repeat myself again. All non-African people operate on collective work. If you are not facing anything yourself and your people are facing things, brother, how are you going to defend yourself against non-African people, brother? That's my question for you.
Yeah, you make a good point, but at the end of the day, you make a good point, and I agree. But why would I want to? I mean, I just don't understand. In the UK, the people that look like me, you know, the only
Hey, yo.
time
Okay, I have
women's
one of
got
my neighbors.
punched.
Okay. Hey, look, I have one of my neighbors here. Okay,
Flipping hell.
he's gonna break down how we living in America. Tell how we living over here in PG County.
Bro,
Yeah, we
let me
got
ask.
nice houses and stuff, man. Nice cars, all that. And not everybody poor.
And now everybody's oppressed. Like, okay, how many white people live around here?
Not too
There
much.
ain't no white people living
Yeah,
anywhere
not
never
too
down here.
much.
This is all black people.
For real, for real.
All black people living around here.
All right, so let me ask you. Oh, let me ask you a
Prince
question. Let
George's
me
County
ask
is
you a
the
question.
richest county in America.
He's the richest black county.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
richest black.
Tell them about how we live in PG County. Tell them how we live over here.
We live in large out here, brother. We live in large. So this is the richest black county in America. So we're doing good.
We
So,
have no
brother,
white people over here oppressing us. Our mayor is black. Everybody here is black. No white people. Thanks, brother. Thanks, brother. And everybody here is black. Wait.
no sense, brother. It doesn't make no sense, brother. You see? Because just because you are in a black area, it doesn't mean that you can protect yourself from non-African people.
Okay,
But
I
And this is
get
how,
you.
why.
how are they gonna get us? We
Oh
have
Hold on,
guns.
man.
brother,
This is
brother. You
America. We
see,
have Second Amendment.
brother.
We have guns over here. Everybody here is strapped. Every house here is strapped.
Brother. You see, brother, if we're not going to be truthful and being disingenuous, brother, then there's no point dialoguing, brother. You see, you're saying you live in a black community, brother, which has nothing to do with you cannot protect yourself from white supremacy. You can't, brother, because we
So,
don't have collective power. And this is what I tried to explain to you in that, brother, that if you have millions, then you're supposed to find a synchronized black collective who are focusing on politicizing and getting our
okay,
people forward.
yeah,
And then when
okay.
you build with them, brother, hold on, brother, when you build with them collectively, then you focus on getting a military base to protect economics in the
Okay.
diaspora and in the future. But you don't want to talk about that, brother. You want to tell us about the Fifth Commandment, and you want to tell us that you're in a black area, which has
The
nothing to
Second
do
Amendment.
with
Second Amendment. The guns. How do we have our right to bear arms? Second Amendment.
Okay. I like what Kale's saying, but as I said before, it's not gonna happen. Okay. You can't even get people to marry each other. Okay. You can't even have stable families. Okay. It's not gonna happen with this group of people. This group of people have actually argued against segregation multiple times in order to fit in and to get closer to people who, as you rightly say, treat us like crap. This is a group of people who are under spiritual curses, I could argue, maybe. Okay, and just dysfunctional. It will never be unified. This is a team that is at the bottom of the table. If you're a star player or a player with any capability whatsoever, I don't blame you for wanting to have a club transfer and going to a more successful team and saying bomb this. In the UK, at least, there's nothing here worth saving as a black community. If you really want to go and help out, I suggest you do it in a foreign black country. There's no point. You're wasting your time. You're just going to be disappointed, and you might get a knife in your back, or your eyeball, or your neck, or your heart, or your back, or your backside, or your nuts, and you might end up with an STD if you decide to stick your penis in that cavernous disease-ridden hole known as the Western Black Miller's vagina. Now I'm joking, but hey, maybe.
Well, let me say this, and this is probably to Kale's point, and one thing I want to ask the panel then, because you can't. We talked about the elders may be responsible or they once didn't help us out, but we as people cannot help what position we've started in. But we can do something now once we know better. There's a famous saying that once you know better, you do better. So is the question not just about, because JLC say we can't be saved, but we that know better, should we try at least do better? At least try. At least that's the aim, isn't it? I mean, all groups try to further the culture, further technology. People do research on cancer will probably die and not even find a cure, but they still do it because it's a noble cause. It's what's right. Is the issue is that we're a defeated people in the mindset? Is the issue the mind?
Oh, most definitely. We are definitely mentally defeated. And it's very interesting because we have a revolutionary background, whether you're, you know, on the diaspora or on the continent, of us battling and getting our rights. You know, to get out of our situation, brother, just like what the ancestors did, you're going to have to fight and shed blood. No one's going to give it to you, and that is the only way you're going to get your power back. But because we are mentally defeated and we're comfortable and we use all these labels and, you know, oh, I'm disentitlement, so this entitles me to be comfortable in that, brother. And then when we face oppression, which we're doing, whether you're a lawyer, black doctor, black entertainer and stuff, right? It doesn't matter what label you are in that. You're an African descendant, and non-African people understand who you are, and they will do everything in their power to disenfranchise in it. We want to make all these excuses. So, you know, it's either Pan-Africanism, brother, or perish. It's as simple as that.
Oh, let me add on, brother Win. It's not that we don't have a defeated mentality, bro. We're just being realistic, brother. We're just being realistic. Like, bro, I wanna apply SYSBM, brother Win. You know SYSBM, right?
I do.
Yeah, I think black men who are on their purpose should apply SYSBM. Just be ruthless, be selfish, just prioritize yourself. Because SYSBM is black men first. Just focus on your purpose. That's what black men need to do. There is no point of saving black people in the West. You can save a certain type of black individuals, and I call them conservative black individuals because they were raised correctly and they prioritize things that are important. The black people I'm talking about that can't be saved, brother Win, are liberal black people because they chose not to be saved for. They want to be comfortable in wickedness, because I'm gonna say this, bro. I know it's gonna sound controversial, but I said it on Brother Vulcan's last live stream, but liberal black people would have a love affair with evil, bro. And that's a fact. They have a love affair with evil. You can't save these type of black people, bro, because they don't want to be saved. And it's the majority, bro. It's the majority. That's why I support SYSBM, because these are brothers. See, these are serious-minded brothers who have a good network and they want to leave the West. And you enter the passport bros, and you know it's a good solution because we've unplugged from the matrix. We see that the only benefit of the West is generating wealth. You know,
That's a huge benefit, though. That's a huge benefit.
Yeah. Use the West to generate your wealth, gain the resources, and just leave, bro. Just leave. The West is sinking. The UK is sinking, brother.
That's the UK. Let me jump in and say one thing real quick, though. I was gonna say one thing, it's easy for y'all in the UK, right? Because y'all in the UK just probably came over, what, 1 generation ago, 2 generations ago. Some people more than 3, some people 3, maybe some 4, maybe. I don't know everything, right? But you're talking about in America, you're talking people who've been here for like 400 years. It's a big difference. You know what I'm saying? The people here has been here since as long as they can remember. If you ask them where they're from before modern DNA tests, you ask them where they're from, the most they can tell you is North Carolina. I came from the country, North Carolina. I came from the Eastern Shore. That's, you know what I'm saying? Or I came from a plantation somewhere. That's where everybody came from. Everybody came right out the plantations to the city. That's where everybody came from. You know, so it's like for the African American, that's not going to work for them.
One thing I was going to say on that, and further your point, Palu, and this is where I was going to do a live stream on this, because obviously Thomas, you asked me about SYSBM, and I know obviously US man them are doing this too, but isn't this a bit of a cowardice route out? I always think that maybe we, as you know, as Pedro was saying, second generation, maybe third generation, we feel like it's so easy to up and leave. Other cultures, they fight for theirs. You know what I mean? They fight for what they believe is their land, their culture, their people. Are we? Is that a sign of a mentally defeated person to say, you know what, things are tough, things are hard, I'm just gonna up and leave? You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just asking. I'm just asking the question. Does it feel more of a cowardice way out?
Well, brother, you need to look at what options do black men have. I'm talking about traditional minded black men. What options do we have, bro?
You could live traditionally in Britain. You could live traditionally if you want to.
No, you can't. If you're Pakistani, maybe.
Why not a black? If a Pakistan, okay, why you say Pakistan but not a black?
Bro.
What's the structural differences that stops blacks from living tradition?
Hold on, bro. Hold on. I'm talking, bro. Hold on. I'm talking. Bro, I'm talking. Hold on. I'm talking. Bro, I'm talking. Bro. Let me finish. The UK does not promote traditionalism. It promotes the liberalism and it's backwards. So how the other communities they've done it because they had a strong plan. They have a strong network. They prioritize things that were important. Black people have not done that in the UK. They haven't done that. They have an individualistic mindset, right?
Okay, because they haven't done it, does that make it impossible?
It is impossible. When you look at it, is impossible because it's been decades. It's been decades, and where's the proof? I see the Asian community, they've had decades upon decades of planning, and that's why they're successful. That's why in the UK, we might have our first Asian prime minister. Why? Because they have decades of generational wealth and community.
America had a black president.
Brother, come on, man. That's a one-off thing. That's never gonna happen.
How you know that? What happened again? How you know that?
How I know that, bro. I don't want to get into him. Yeah, but Obama was a shit president, man. He was shit.
But he was black. That's all that mattered. He was black. He was black though.
It doesn't matter, bro. He was shit.
Brother, you don't understand politics, brother. You don't understand politics.
If he was black, another black man could do the same thing. He opened the door.
Well, stop, man. You're being like, no, man. It's not gonna happen. But let's move on from Obama.
It's definitely gonna happen.
It's not gonna happen.
Let me get Myth in. Let me get Myth to him. Because he's just come on the panel. Myth, welcome, bro. I know you want to add something to the conversation. What do you have for us?
Well, that's good. It was to answer the question you asked before. I can't remember. I think it was to do with not the one you just asked now.
Is it mental issues? I said that. Is there something mentally up with this? That's the reason why we won't sort it out.
No, it was the question before that. That everyone was just discussing now. Damn it.
I was just questioning about, are we cowardice because we're moving SOSBM? That was the kind of the question that was
no, not that one. I can't remember exactly what it was now, but to do with that question, to be honest, I think it actually will link to that question anyway, because basically, I mean, there's no the thing is that with all the situations that's been brought up about, oh, these people can do this and this, I mean, firstly, there's different cultural structures and there's different things that as Black people in the West we just simply do not have. Okay, but I don't think that's new to anyone. If you can't see the difference, then there's not really anything else to tell you. That's just you being willfully ignorant at that point. It's blatantly obvious that Asian people have got a very different structure to what the modern Western Black people have got. Our cultures are completely different. I mean, if you're looking at what our primary mainstream image is, thanks America, you know, looking at the nonsense you've got going on over there in terms of the media and what our image is, and then the way how over in the UK we start to try and adapt that, and then the nonsense we've got as our primary image. I mean, I don't know. I go out in the world all day, every day, and I consistently see just more and more evidence of us being mostly dysfunctional. Of course, you've got Black people who aren't like that, but if we're going to compare in terms of percentages, there's no way of trying to act like we don't know the difference. Now, every community's got its nonsense, but there's a difference between having nonsense and celebrating it and pushing it, and then having it and saying, oh, that's a problem. Okay, so the issue of us is that we have things in reverse. But in terms of SYSBM and being cowardice and stuff, the way I look at it is you have to give people an incentive. If you're going to say, okay, well, you've got to stay here, or you got to do this, or you got to build family. Okay, well, what's the ROI? That's the way how, whether people consciously do it or not, I think subconsciously most people evaluate things based on that on some level, especially men. If you're going to think about something logically, you're going to think, okay, if I put this time and effort in, what am I getting out of it? You know, the reason why things like traveling and passport and all that is blowing up and people are starting to pay attention to it is because guys are thinking about the ROI. You've got guys who are already 40, who are 50 years old. I mean, they've gone through it. They did things the traditional way. It didn't work. They've gone through the system. It didn't work. They've had the kids. Their kids and their family situation got messed up. It didn't work. Now, of course, you got people where it did work, but those people probably aren't going to be the ones sitting on a panel complaining because their situation is good for now. I mean, at the end of the day, those people who are having issues now, their situation was fine at one point, right? So, I mean, I think if you're just looking at it, and me being younger and for younger people, when you're looking at it and you haven't done those things yet, I think the logical thing to say is, what's the ROI? Like, why would I do it? Everyone can sit and say, oh, well, we should fix this. We should. Okay, but for what? Like, is there an actual explanation, like something you can actually present as a good incentive as to why it would be done outside of some sentimental thing about, I don't know, like community in some way that, you know, in our lifetime has never been proven to have any true meaning?
Well, my pushback to that is, what does any community, what is any return investment for like a Bill Gates or Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos have for giving back? Isn't it just for either legacy, personal pride, or is it to see their community
No,
grow?
tax
Is
benefits.
that the whole point?
I mean, there's tax benefits to doing philanthropy. That's a big reason why
But a
most
lot of
wealthy people,
rich black people have the exact same opportunity. So wouldn't that be a return of either? I mean, I don't understand the difference in what other groups would do, what we can't do, if that makes sense.
I don't know if there's a discernible difference between what other groups are doing necessarily, though. I mean, in what regard? Like, if what's Bill Gates isn't coming from a background where he's had to grow up in the hood. So, I mean, I don't know. He's had a different type of experience. You know, the type of person, and also the type of people we have that tend to be generating the wealth, not Bill Gates types of people, generally speaking.
I suppose that makes it more impressive.
You don't need to be Bill Gates, because Europeans were living in caves and living very harsh. Asian people didn't have that much, and the Arabs were living on the sand, but they understood that our environment is not good, but we're going to have a code of conduct, and we're on the borders of Africa, and we're going to mix with the Africans, and we're going to exploit them and understand how they react to certain things, and then we're going to take over the continent. You don't have to be Bill Gates, brother.
Are they smarter than us?
Hold on, brother. It's not. Here's what you got to understand, brother. Non-African people are not in power because they are more beautiful, they're more smarter, they're more intelligent. They're in power, brother, because they're more manipulative, more conniving, and will go to extreme lengths to keep their race in charge. And Africans don't seem to understand that. They don't seem to understand that you don't have to copy them, but you have to have a code of conduct of practicing your race first in all things. It's simple. But if you're multiculturalist, you'll always be last, which is happening to us
so
right now.
why are we so multiculturalist? Again, this is what I don't understand about you brothers who say all this stuff. Listen, you just described people being able to survive in far harsher, trying conditions. You don't think it didn't help them get them an IQ beast or selectively breed? Because the people who were dumb, guess what? They died off. And therefore, you get
it's not really about
a group of people who are able to go and be resourceful, survive in harsher conditions, and problem solve. You don't think that didn't have an advantage on a group level? You don't think
No, it didn't, brother. And I'll tell you why, brother. You know why we are multiculturalists, brother? I'll tell you why in that. Because we have dopamines for non-African people that we cannot survive without their approval. We cannot survive without them helping us. And as long as you have that type of mindset, as what the Honorable Marcus Garvey says, a race that relies on a people will never have no respect. This is why, brother. You see, if I, as a Pan-Africanist, tell our people, right, separate psychologically, physically from non-African people, right, you're going to hear, oh, I'm in this relationship, or my friend and my this and stuff like that. You hear all these excuses, but the solution, brother, is to separate in all things.
I have another neighbor. He gonna come on, and we about to get opinion from the America in the streets how black people live in America. What up, neighbor? So, hey, black people being oppressed over here. Like, who runs the community over here?
Black folks.
This is all black folks. This whole neighborhood is all black folks. We run the whole place, from the whole county, from miles and miles. How many white people live around this area?
None.
Exactly. Look, we chilling. We run it. They're not here. They're not here under our throats. Our mayor is black. Our everything's black. We running our own community. So it's not like everybody is out here being oppressed by the white folks here. We running stuff over here. Look at us. We chilling. We out here. We got the pit bulls. The guys over there shooting videos.
Brother, can you ask him what is the community there doing for police brutality? Can you ask him that?
Okay. He wants me to ask you a question. He said, what's the community doing for police brutality?
Hold up. What?
He said, what is our community doing for police brutality? He wants us to know, what are we doing for police brutality?
Oh, nothing.
We run this place.
Right. We run it. That's right.
Or do
we run this place. We run
my question. Unfortunately, it cannot be answered.
He answered the question. He said we run our own community. He told you.
No. He said nothing, brother. He said
because we run it. We don't need to do nothing when we run our community. I mean, if you run the community, what you got to do about it,
brother? He said nothing. All due respect to the uncle, and I appreciate seeing our uncles in America, but he said nothing. And the fact that nothing can be done, brother, proves that we don't have collective power. All due respect to now, brother.
We have powers in our neighborhood. What you talking about? We run our own places,
brother. But this is very unsynchronized, brother. Saying that we have power, knowing the reality in America and UK, brother. This is idealistic and imaginative and not being real, brother. We don't have any collective power because if the African Americans, hold on, brother. If the African Americans, brother, are being oppressed and we don't have the power to stop that, then it tells us collectively we are inadequate. All due respect to it.
We're not being oppressed everywhere. That's the thing.
The problem is you're not being nuanced enough with when you're talking about power. Power is not just one level or just the other. It's not that binary. Like there's local power, there's global power. If you're talking about it globally, then it depends. Like in the local situation he's talking about, he obviously does not have that issue that you're talking about because of the specific situation it is. Like it's not always going to be one-to-one and always going to be the same in every situation. If he was in a different area where for some reason there was a lot of racist white people, then there'd be a difference. But it depends on the environment you're in.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't make no sense, brother. What you just said there, brother, that don't make no sense because, brother, right? When you look
okay, I mean, that's how power works.
Hold on, brother. When you look at the non-Africans, brother, they can maneuver on the African continent freely, brother. They have more privilege than we as African descendants, right?
That sounds like an African problem. That's got nothing to do.
Hold on, brother. Hold on. Now, you just said it depends on what type of power. Well, brother, last time I checked, brother, real power is when you have the ability to feed and to secure your people without other people intervening. Now, we as African people, we don't have that power, brother. So the fact that's not power. Makes no sense.
Real power is not reliant on other people challenging your power. Power is just power. Power means you can do something. That's it.
Exactly. We run Chocolate City.
Whether or not because if that was the case, then people with empires would never have been challenged by people with smaller kingdoms in the past, which they were. So it's not about, oh, I've got way more power. No one's going to ever challenge me. There's always going to be someone who's going to challenge you just because you have power. That's how it actually works. So that entire concept doesn't really line up. Like you're thinking just because black people have some challenges, that means we don't have power. That's not how anyone works. Everyone has challenges.
Brother,
exactly. Thank you. That's all I was saying. Thank you.
This is very unsynchronized to say, right, that just because some people have some challenges, it doesn't mean they have power. Brother, we as African people cannot protect one another collectively from white supremacy. The fact that we are debating upon something that's real, brother, tells me you're very unsynchronized.
No, it says you're not nuanced. You're not nuanced. You're not nuanced. It's a nuanced situation. It's a nuanced situation, and you're painting a broad brush that's not accurate, and then you have to call everybody else dishonest. You're calling everybody dishonest because you're painting a broad brush that doesn't apply to all the nuances of the black experiences. So look, because you're the one saying people are dishonest when they disagree with you, just because we're saying there's nuance to the issue. We're just saying there's nuance to the issue.
I mean, even if what you're saying is true.
Hold on, brother. Hold on, brother. Here's the thing. Hold on, brother. Right. You brothers on the panel, right? You cannot name me one African tribe, right, that has defeated white supremacy, regained full control on the African continent, full control in the Caribbean, created a military base to protect the African Americans and the Africans in Europe from oppression. You can't name me one.
That's
And the
a tall
reason why you
order. You're
can't,
talking about
hold on,
a
brother,
gigantic order.
No, it's not a tall
hold
order. The
on,
problem
brother,
is that what
brother.
he's
Can you
asking
allow
is
me to
rude
finish,
nonsense.
brother? Can you allow me to finish? And the fact that you can't name me one dictates already, brother, that we do not have any collective power. Why are we debating on something, brother, that the reality is we do not have power as African people?
Okay, so if that's the conclusion you've come to, then what are you doing on YouTube? Like, I don't get the logic. Like, okay, so we don't have power.
Exactly.
Let's sit on YouTube and cry about it. Like, what? Go do something then.
What's very interesting, brother, is that first of all, I'm a Pan-Africanist. I was raised in it from a young age, and I'm part of loads of movements, brother, especially on the continent as well.
Where they at? I ain't seeing
Hold
them
on,
do
brother.
nothing. They ain't moving nothing. I promise you that.
Hold on, brother. Hold on, brother. Yeah. Now, doing grassroots, I've been doing that since I was young with family and that. I'm connected in that way, brother. You understand? And the reason why I go on YouTube, brother, because a man like me who's in their 40s, YouTube is very different. We never had that back then and stuff. But what I understand is a great way of reminding our people and getting connected with organizations so they can be on board of their liberation, because no non-African person, brother, is going to rescue you from your situation. That's why I go on YouTube. And I appreciate mans like White Matters, Brother Raven, and the rest of those who allow their platform, because whether you like it or not, brother, non-African people tell you every single day, we will never help you sincerely, collectively. And you have to listen and you have to pay attention to the
So
reality.
you think that black people will more sincerely help you than anyone else?
Based upon the CV, brother, I can name West Africans who helped with the liberation, East Africans, South, Central, North Africans, the African Caribbean. We have CV, brother, of helping our people. But when it comes to
So there's
non-African
no white
people,
people on that TV.
hold on, brother. When it comes to non-African people, sincerely helping us collectively, systematically, brother, we don't have no CV or reference.
What's determined as sincerely? Who determines that? You?
No, brother, what's sincere is this, brother, is that destroying the system of white supremacy, which is based upon subjugating African people, which non-African people benefit every single day from that system while we're subjugated. I call that real help. And if they're not willing to do that, which they will never do anyway and stuff, right, then I can rely on my people who have attempted systematically to do that.
Okay, so when it was 2020 and we had Black Lives Matter going on, and you saw white people out there pulling down statues, supposedly in the name of black people, because they are ashamed of their past and colonization, blah blah, and all that liberal nonsense they was doing. Is that sincere to you?
No, it's not, brother. Breaking
Okay.
down statues, hold on, brother. Breaking down statues and marching in a black movement is very disingenuous. First
But
of all,
what about the
brother,
fact that they
hold
give
on,
money and
brother,
stuff?
hold on, brother, hold on. First of all, brother, the non-Africans, you're referring to the Europeans, right? If they're really sincere, they should every single day have a movement of every day going to the government and saying we want the wealth disputed on African descendants. We want security. We don't want the police choking them in UK in the police stations, which you fail to understand. We don't want the African woman raped in the UK by non-African people, which you fail to understand, especially the police. You understand? If they really want to help us with that, brother, they will be doing that. Not going in black movements like Black Lives Matter, which we don't have any power, and then mingling amongst us and say, "Oh, break down the statues." That is not tangible solutions, brother. That's just hiding to get away the fact that what they really need to do.
Right. Okay.
I mean, I just know that black people got to live. Look, I live somewhere where I don't have a white person breathing down my throat. I don't have no white people breathing down my throat. Like you have to go to the other side of town before you get to white people over here. This side of town is nothing but Negroes who look like me. A police force is Negroes, so everything is Negroes. Everything is Negro. I live in Negroville, USA. I live in Chocolate City, so I mean, maybe my experience is lucky that I don't have a white man telling me what to do or anything like that. I don't have one. You know what I'm saying? I work for a black company. I do everything black. I mean, I don't see white people until I go to work, and even that, my
Okay,
company's
lads,
black. I
man.
got a
I
contract.
I, I want to wish this. Before I go, yeah, I got work tomorrow, 8 o'clock, bank holiday, but the work never stops. Keep on moving. Got passport bros, needs passport bro money, man. That's what needs to be done. Listen, let me just say this. Fuck it. It's done. It's finished. Save yourself. Why are you wasting time? Can't even marry our own. Can't even build of our own. Can't do shit. All right, you're wasting your time.
You
All right,
can in
if
America,
you
you can.
in America maybe, but in UK, what's the point? What's there to save? If you want to
But
build back home in your
the
home
thing
country.
is with the brother and that is that he's talking about Chocolate City, but Chocolate City cannot collectively protect other African people from police brutality and the distribution of economics. You haven't answered that, brother. And that's what the uncle said. We're doing nothing. So
Because
unfortunately,
he said we're
hold
doing
on,
nothing because we run our community. We run our own community.
all due respect to you, brother, right? And I know you're a very intelligent guy. I spoke to you before, and I appreciate, brother, you coming on Brother Raven's show, right? This is not war, brother. I love you. You're my brother. But we have to be truthful that your Chocolate City cannot rival with the government in America to protect all black people. We have to be truthful, brother. And that's why it says you
We
cannot
run
name.
the capital. We run the capital. This is the capital of America. We run the capital.
Okay, brother. All right, brother. Okay.
Right.
Brother
So
White Matters,
Let
I've
me
got to go, brother. I got work myself. I appreciate once again, brother, allowing me
yeah,
on the show.
thanks.
Big up to the African family, the panel, and brother. I look forward to the next show, God willing. Big up to you, big up to everyone, brother.
Yeah, thanks, Kev, for coming on. Take care and have a good one. So we've kind of gone around.
let me say this. Let me say this.
Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
Let me say this before I go. Like, I'm gonna be frank. You can't save. You know, liberal black people. Probably you can't save them. You can't save them. You can just black men. You know, my serious-minded black men. Just focus on yourselves because use the wealth to generate wealth. Just leave. Just leave. Just focus on your purpose because when, brother, when there are black people who just don't want to be saved. They want to be associated with degeneracy. They love destruction, bro. Not in Hill Carnival. Why? Why do you think not in Hill Carnival exists, bro? So black people can display and promote the negative stereotypes. You see that, bro. It goes on once a year, not in Hill Carnival. And you see non-black people just shaming black people, and then they get all upset. Well, you can't get upset because you promote the negative stereotypes. It's your fault. So you take accountability, which they lack. So it is what it is, bro. I'm just saying, like, for my serious brothers, just focus on yourself and disassociate yourself from people who love and promote degeneracy. Well, brother Wayne, it's been a good discussion, and I got a bounce. But peace, bro.
Thanks for coming on, Thomas. Thanks for jumping on. Appreciate it. Have a good one. And I suppose to answer to your question, Thomas, and this is where I'm at with things, and this is kind of to Pelu as well, is because he has an actual, he sees it in the flesh, a black community run by black people, not poor, not run down, black people living, I don't know if it's traditional life, but they're living a good life, it looks like, together. So is the problem that we have just decided to say, you know what, F it, everyone's liberal. And I'm not saying that there aren't people who are liberal, but we just can't seem to, we just seem to give up. Whereas like Americans, for example, they don't give up the fight. They're like this. It's we're here, we're gonna be here. We've been here strong, deep, knee deep in this thing. We're gonna fight and we're gonna keep going. So I don't know whether again like the mental issue. Is it a mental issue where especially a lot of rich people, you know, myth over here, we're rich back for what they do. It's not, you know what I mean? It's like over here, we don't have the same level of community focus. like I think in the US. I do see Stormzy do some things. I was seeing the John Boyega do some things, but there's not really that kind of spirit of giving back in the same sort of way. I don't know if you agree with that or not.
I don't think anyone overall in the UK has that. Like people that are born here, I don't think the white British people have it as strongly either, because they seem to be a bit in conflict over their own national pride. Whereas in America, if you look at white Americans and black Americans, typically both are quite proud of the fact they're American. If I go over to a panel right now and start talking shit about America, a lot of them will be like, look, man, you're from the UK, man, don't talk about America. Blah, blah, blah. Whereas here, and I've said this multiple times before, there's a lot of black people who won't defend, Britain and stuff like that. And the fact of the matter is you could argue, okay, well, why do they have to defend Britain? Because, it's the white man's country. Blah, blah. I don't see it like that. But I think that the fact that most people can't even see that the land that they live in is somewhere they can actually be proud of to begin with. You don't have to be proud of its entire history, but you can be proud of the things that you are contributing to it. In fact, you're a tax-paying citizen, which I hope you are. I don't actually care, but
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
I just have to say that for legal reasons. But and then other than that, like, I mean, but like, I don't know. I just think we have too much conflict over identity, and for a number of reasons. I think maybe because we've not been here. Well, most people haven't been here that long, so they don't really feel comfortable saying they're from here and they're this and they're black and British and blah blah. Then you've got people who kind of sometimes do want to say it, and it's really confused. Like, I think that is one of the main obstacles to begin with. In terms that's different from us to Americans. I don't think Americans have that so much, so they may not have the thing where they can say, I'm from this tribe, or I came from here, or I came from there. But that in a way kind of provides a clarity or focus, because the fact you don't have that, oh, my family roots. Like, for example, if you grow up in a household with immigrant parents and they might tell you to do this and this is your culture, and then you go to school and it's not like that. And it's just like, it's conflict, right? Whereas if what your parents did and your grandparents did is basically similar to what you did, it's a lot easier to have the focus, and I'm kind of saying that from experience, because in my family, that's what it was like. Primary school I went to, same school that my mom went to. So it's like things like that. If you didn't have that, I think sometimes it makes it more difficult. And it doesn't help that then on top of that, the culture that we have created here isn't one that's hyper focused on productivity. So then even if you are looking at the people who look like you and think, oh, I'll go to them or I'll follow their example, what example are you following? It's not one that's, going to get you into places like Westminster, because your culture is telling you things like, oh, that's some white man thing, who wants to be doing that? Even things like being in the police force, people want to cry about police brutality, but then black people don't want to actually join these things, and then it's like, oh, well, that's snitching. Okay, so, like, there's just always something that we'll use to block ourselves from doing anything. So
I hear this. I mean, listen, there's always issues in regards to everything, and I hear what you're saying. It's just the fact of, it's just for me, all these sounds like, I won't say excuses because there are valid reasons, but it's just a more way of people just saying, forget about this, forget about that. And at the end of the day, and I think,
but maybe that's because it's the natural conclusion. I think sometimes, like, there's, at the end of the day, nothing lasts forever, and sometimes some things are just fundamentally flawed. There's some things that you can hold on to. Like, for example, you could have a business idea, or you could have a project idea or something, and you're just trying to make that thing work. But all you're doing is just not accepting reality, which is that from the foundation, this thing is just messed up. So you got to go back to the drawing board. Problem is, that's really hard to do with a collective of people. Like, how do you reset with that? How do you go back to the drawing board with an entire group of people? That it's not quite so simple. And that's why I was saying earlier about the incentive thing, because even anyone who would maybe be willing to do that, it's like with anything else in life. The reason why someone's going to go and do these larger than life things, like you were saying earlier about someone curing cancer, well, there's a lot of actual societal benefits if you was actually able to achieve that. So people are going to think, okay, well, even if I did do this thing, even if I create a traditional family, I might be able to achieve that as an individual. But if you're talking about collectively, how is that achieved?
But again, I think it's, what's the classic Caribbean phrase? Each one teach one. So you're right. On a local level, you can only do what you can do. You can only do your part. You can't force people to believe what you believe, force people to do traditional. You can only set up a store because, again, you're a man. You set up your own legacy how you see fit. Again, you can't even control what your children do. No one can. But again, and sometimes I don't think it's even that bad, to be fair to you. And in regards to how we look at things, I think we look at things so glass half empty, as opposed to there's a lot of good things here that maybe just tweaks, as opposed to saying full on, you know, radiotherapy, chemotherapy. Sometimes, maybe, I don't know. So maybe probably just perspectives, I think, on that in regards to sometimes how you see things and how I'm seeing things at times.
Well, I don't personally think it's all doom and gloom or like there's no hope or whatever. It's just that I don't think if it's that, like, I'm trying to understand, like, where's the incentive on a day-to-day level? You have to be someone that already has that ideal in your head and wants to see it come to fruition, to stick with it. If you go out there and let's just say, for example, you're dating and you've got different options of people, if you go and you're like, okay, I'm going to do this black family, you know, that's what I'm going to do, or I'm going to do that because I want to further our community and I don't want to date out and blah, blah, blah. Let's say that's what you're going out. If that's your mentality, firstly, that is a rare mentality just by itself, because most people don't think like that. And the reason why they don't think like that is due to numerous reasons everyone's gone over. But my point is that's specifically, like, that's one of the first things that would have to change. You'd have to have way more people who have that ideal in their head. And if you look at how people have stuck together, let's look at the communities we've got here. The people who aren't really allowed to date out, well, that's the thing. They're not allowed. You know, that's really how that basically tends to work. Like, you're not going to, even with that, even with consequences like that, there's still people who just violate that and go do what they're doing. They might have to be smarter about it and not have as much long-lasting consequences, but that's because they're basically forced. I mean, if you don't have that type of force on people, usually they're going to do whatever they want to do. And that's just typically how it tends to play out, you know, and it doesn't help. Like I said, we've got a bunch of insecurity issues with black people, so that plays into it, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's to me, I just can't see how overall collectively it gets remedied. And you know,
the thing is, this is why, again, to Paul Pogba, going back to his situation, just rich people in general, this is, again, it's unfortunate, but this is the reason why so many, not all, because again, a lot do give back, but there's always that little bit of, I think, is a case of a lot more would give back if there wasn't so many issues in regards to, I mean, I hear but rappers kind of have it coming to them a little bit, but rappers getting robbed, rappers getting stabbed up. Did Nines get like stabbed up or something like that? I can't remember.
I don't know.
But yeah, it's just all this kind of stupid stuff, which I don't know whether it's because of how they affiliated. That could be part of it, really, too. But for me, it's just a case of, if we have enough of a success story, I think that would just incentivize people to say, you know what, it's actually worked out because, for example, Stormzy was the one who gave me the opportunity to go to Cambridge or Oxford. Therefore, I'm now Oxford graduate. 10 years down the line, I'm now a famous, I don't know, mathematician or something like that. You see what I mean? That's how I see things. And sometimes that's a win. For some people, for me, that would be a win if I get to, I've put through the next, I don't know, Nobel Prize winner in economics or Nobel Prize winner in.
Oh, so you're talking about like someone like who becomes wealthy just giving back. I don't see why they shouldn't do that.
But do you think they have more responsibility to, more of an expectation? Because this is the thing. Would you place more expectation or more pressure on them to, because they're now really successful, like a Paul Pogba, for example, as opposed to somebody like, I don't know, a regular accountant?
Well, I mean, if they've got more, then there probably should be a bit more of an expectation because they've just got more to give. You know, that's the expectation most people have, or wealthy people, but it's up to them as individuals to decide what they choose to do. You know, so I don't know. I mean, again, there's black people who do try to give back, but then you get things where then you end up getting killed by your own people, or you know, because but the problem with that is, like I said earlier, what type of person we've got that's becoming these people. Like, I personally don't look to no rapper or sports person as someone who's meant to do something like that, because the field they're in, to me, is, you know, it's like, and it's not even anything bad. It's just, I'm looking at it and I'm like, well, in a lot of ways, they just got a lot of money for no reason. You know, it's not some world disrupting thing they've done. They've not created some crazy thing in medical technology or something. Like, it's just, they were basically just given a lot of money. That's basically what it is.
I hear you. Let me ask Pelu this then, because obviously he's in the US, and let me ask this then, because he was talking beforehand about a lot of successful rappers and athletes they give back. Now, obviously, Pelu knows a lot of rappers and athletes, well, especially rappers, they get shot by people in their own hood.
Yes.
So my question to you then, Pelu, why is it that black people still give to community? What's the mental difference? Is it something that is born in them that they should give back because they came from a black area, for example?
Yeah, because they always under pressure. The same way you say they should get back. Like for example, recently, what's name? He came back to Memphis to give turkeys for
Young Dolph.
Thanksgiving and killed them.
Young
Young
Dolph.
Dolph, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like people get back. So I mean, I'm not saying that. I told you our problem is that we don't have the right mentorship, and these young people are getting money. Young Dolph a little bit older. He's like my age, right? But he's still young a little bit. He still needs mentorship. Like we have a lot of young people that don't have the right mentorship and don't have the right organization, and they're getting this money. But why did they get back? Of course, because that's their family, that's their people. Like even Kendrick Lamar, he gave back to his high school, gave him a music center. People get back. I'm not saying they do enough, but at the same time, I don't think there's enough mentorship. You know what I'm saying? So I don't totally knock that. I think we don't have a generation of elders who could mentor the young generations and how to build proper things for the community. So they get back into their family because of where they came from. So I don't think the problem. I seriously don't think the problem is not giving back. I really don't think that's the problem. I really think it's a cultural problem and lack of leadership and mentorship that's leading us astray. And other communities have better mentorship.
Yeah, it probably doesn't help as well that the people who would be older than them are probably more broke. Like that definitely doesn't help, because if you're like 15 and you're looking at someone and you're thinking, damn, this guy, he's only 21, but he's, doing sports, or he's a rapper and he's making all this money, he's got all these goals, basically all the things you're looking at thinking you want. And then you've got a guy who's 4 years old. Like, let me tell you this, young man, you're going to think, why would anyone listen to that dude when he ain't got anything anyone wants? So that's another problem as well.
I'll say this though to that myth, and this is where I look at things, because you are right from a monetary aspect. But what if that 40-year-old man was his, I don't know, high school coach? Or what if that 40-year-old man was a guy who helped out his family who was poor? What if that 40-year-old man was just a guy who gave him some advice? Sure, monetary wise, he's not going to be as famous, he's not going to be as successful financially, because he happened to be in a profession, i.e. the sporting arena, which pays off. But surely that kind of
wisdom,
that kind of wisdom, that's the reason why people give back, because they realize, oh, again, that's what I mean, to Pedro's point, even though they may not have the elders to direct how it's properly done, it's good that they still do it at the end of the day. And a lot of times, if we don't have good people who are in the communities, then people won't even have even the slightest bit of incentive to give back, because they've not had any good role models.
Exactly.
The thing is, though, I don't think that's really what it is. I think most people just give back because there's just a notion of that's what you're supposed to do. But the truth of the matter is, okay, you can do that, but what like, even if you're doing that, what does that really? What's that doing? Like, okay, so you give people a bunch of money, but they're still in the same situation. They ain't changing. Like, you've got all that's happened is people are inspired to just get the money in the first place. Yeah, look, I don't know anyone in my own personal life that says when they get money, they're just going to fuck off everyone and they don't care about anybody and blah, blah, blah. I don't know anyone like that. Everyone I know always says, like, if they get on, they're going to want to help people. Now, whether they'll all do it or not, you'll have to see. But most people that I know who have got money, they do give something back to in some shape or form, usually to people they at least know. And in terms of the community thing, that depends. But usually most people do like to try and help or give back in some regard. So like Pelu said, I don't think that's the problem. But if you're saying like an older person, shouldn't they, if they've helped, then that individual person is probably going to want to give back to them as a thanks anyway. But the thing is that whether they go any further than that for random people is down to them, and like I said, they do anyway most of the time. So, but what does it change?
Yeah. I mean, I heard you say, but it could change a lot though. Like just simple stuff. Just say you live in a neighborhood that doesn't have a functional something. Just don't have a community center. You build a community center, it might help a lot. You might not think it help, but a small community center that can help a lot, especially in third world country. I mean, America, we usually have rec centers in most places, but not all of them are the best. And if you let's say you remodel a rec center, you might look at it as a small thing, but that might be an investment for like generations might help. Like for example, we had a rec center, and then we had this midnight basketball program to take people off the street in my township, right? And it reduced the murders in my town because they had an overnight basketball league, and we had midnight basketball. and they reduced the verse because everybody was playing basketball instead of shooting each other up at night. So I mean, yeah, it might not do a lot, one thing, but everything adds up. You know what I'm saying? In life, you got to count your blessings. You know what I'm saying? Every penny that you do for good charity and in sincerity and you put is gonna it might be small one day, but it adds up. I mean, if everybody did their part, you know what I'm saying, we count our blessings. You know, of course there needs to be a cultural change, of course, yes. That's where the mentorship comes on. The mentorship, there needs to be a cultural change in the communities of elders and mentors who could really change the culture. There needs to be that, right? But they themselves would benefit from charity. They would benefit from charity. If people are doing good things in the neighborhood, and you have these people that are getting rich, and then they're helping them and support what these elders are doing, it could all work out. That's what successful community works out. Because the young people are the breadwinners, but the elders supposed to have the wisdom to organize. You know. So,
yeah, but the older people should be doing better in most facets of life. Like that's how it's always been. If it's only getting in recent times where that's flipping, and that's one of the reasons why there's no respect and there's no structure. It's very difficult to try and tell the youth to do something when the youth are looking around and thinking, "Well, you ain't done shit." That's how they're looking at it. So at the end of the day, they're gonna think, "Why should I listen to what you're telling me?" When the truth of the matter is half the stuff you're telling me. Look. The big issue for me is how the wealth is being generated, as far as Black people are seeing. Because don't get me wrong, there's a lot of Black people who make money, and it's got nothing to do with any type of entertainment or rap or anything like that. But the way how most people understand Black people to make money is through those very narrow avenues that most people can't succeed in. So, and then what makes it worse is the specific things we do in those avenues. What are they? You know, like, okay, so you're a rapper, but you're not rapping about love and peace, and you know what I mean? Because there have been Black musicians for decades. They weren't always talking about the nonsense they're talking about now. If you've got it now where that's what people are becoming rich off of, is talking about, oh, I killed this person, I did this, basically the dysfunction. Like when you're young, you're gonna think, okay, yeah, you know, that dysfunction is cool. That's how you make money. Being brought into that culture is how you get more stuff. So you've got no reason to step away from it. In fact, you're going to go further in because that's the main way people are making money. So even if you've got an older person and they've got some wisdom or whatever, you're looking at them like, yeah, but the dude who does all the things you're telling me not to do right now, he's sitting there with 2 or 5 mil, you know, and this, that, like, it's a lot harder. You know, in other groups, you don't have it so skewed like that. You know what I mean? So if an older man's telling you something, it's like, okay, well, I can see what he did with the family. This is generational wealth, and there's a culture anyway where even if you don't like what the older man's saying, culturally, everyone's going to tell you gotta listen to him. You don't have it where the dope boy is the guy who's got the most respect around, you know, the area. You don't have that situation. That's one of the biggest issues we have, is that where we're placing the respect is on the younger people. We're invested in these things that, if we're being
that's
honest,
because they don't have the elders. They don't have enough elders. Like the dope boy would not be. Look, I grew up in a dope boy neighborhood, and I did the dope boys. I literally most of my life I grew up on top of a crack house. I swear to God, I grew up on the bottom of me was a crack house, and 2 doors down was another one, and then when you cross the alley on the other place there was another one. I grew up in the crack alley in my neighborhood, right? And you're right about that. When I was looking up, I looked up to the dope boys. I did because they were running the neighborhood, right? But that's because there wasn't elders who were saying something different. It's like most people came from broken homes. Most people, their moms was on crack. It was like there's not a. I mean, if there were elders there who were stand up guys in the community and telling people to do otherwise, I think they would be listened to. I just don't think they're there. That's my thing. I think it's.
No, sorry. Yeah, I was actually gonna say that. That was actually originally what I was kind of meant to say. Is that even the older people basically co-sign it. Not all of them. Like I don't want to act like they all do, because I personally know some who don't. But I'm just saying that there's too many of them who kind of will see, you know, and they'll be like, oh, that's just how them young boys do, and like, because they just. This is my point. Like overall, throughout all age brackets, Black people just in general accept that dysfunction as part of, that's just what we do. That's how we are, you know. And so when you're younger, it's harder for you to get out of it.
I mean, it's changing though. We always had certain people that's done other stuff though. Like in the Black community, like an example in America, right? We have a lot of like small groups that people do get out of. and not necessarily follow the drug path. Like we have a lot of Muslim groups. We have we have Nation of Islam. We have the regular Muslim groups. We have the Border Science Temple. We have Hebrew Israelites. So we have some movements that are gaining people that and have always been there. That people are coming out of are not going the drug path. So not everybody goes the path of the drug trade or the criminal underworld. We need a lot more people doing that. Yeah, but it's like it's a tough call. I mean, it's not going to take one generation. Maybe it's going to take a lot of generations. But you need.
This is what I was going to say. Was it the past of 1,000 steps starts with one or something like I forgot the exact phrase of it, but you're right. I think probably looking at everything has to be done tomorrow. It's like when Brother Care was talking about getting rid of white supremacy. It's not going to happen overnight. You know what I mean? It's a collective effort, and a lot of these things will take time for his particular goal.
And also you're not going to get rid of white supremacy unless you replace it with another form of supremacy. That's just human nature.
Well, yeah, that too. But ultimately, the power structure, I think, is what he's talking about in terms of changing, which, again, according to reports, is looking like is changing with other, China and whatnot. But ultimately, yeah, it's a case of, because even to your point, Pelu, I think there's more black men in graduating university than going to prison now. So a lot of things are changing. It's just some of the old stereotypes are still there, and it just takes a bit of time for it to really, really take hold. So a lot of culture is just changing for things. Some people think
that's the thing. In terms of what we're doing, most black people are not criminals. I mean, that's obvious. Like, but that does not change the fact that in terms of the things we sit there and act like it's okay, whether someone's got a degree or not, most black people in general, if you go and try and tell them stuff like that's dysfunctional, you're the one who's going to get looked at like there's something wrong with you. Or even if black people agree with you, they ain't about to do anything about it. So it doesn't really. It's like, okay, so then. Nothing really. It's just they're just like, yeah, it's messed up, but and then they're more than likely going to try and blame it on something like white supremacy. That's most likely the default thing most of them are going to jump to is, it's because the white people did this, or it's because we got all this trauma. Like seems to be the buzzword now. Oh, we had all this trauma and generational trauma. That's why we got to heal. And it's just like, what does that mean? Even if there's some logic to it, it's just kind of like, what it. I don't know.
I'm gonna totally agree with you on that. On the final point, I 100% agree with you. Like, okay, like my neighborhood's not that bad, right? But next to us, I live next to the hood. I live next to the slums. I don't live too far away, right? And I'm gonna tell you about the black community. Generally speaking, in the black community, I think our biggest problem now, and I know a lot of people are going to be politically incorrect. Our biggest problem now is propaganda. Exactly what you say. We have so much propaganda that's blinding us because I told you, most black people live in black areas in America. To what I've seen in the places I've lived, from DC, Baltimore to Atlanta, black people congregate in the black areas for the most part. And I'm not saying every single person, but most black people are not living with white people breathing down their throat. America is still somewhat segregated. That's the reality of America. It's still somewhat in de facto segregated a lot still. It's not legally segregated, but de facto it is still segregated, right? And the main problem why these communities can't get it together is you're right, is the propaganda. It's so much leftist bullshit propaganda that's blaming everything on the white man, blaming everything in this. It's such a distraction that black people can't get their minds correct. So I do agree with you on that. Yes, we have a lot of propaganda that's distracting black people from collective betterment. Thank you. That's all I gotta say. I agree with what you're saying on the final point.
I hear you. And before we close, because I was wondering, my final thoughts before we close, and obviously if I get yours as well, is I think ultimately we just need to be able to, and this is probably where I will give more successful rich people more responsibility on, is just to show that better way of living. Now I know you could argue the way how they get there is debatable, depending if they're like a drill artist, for example. But I think successful people over here, particularly, if I'll be honest, just need to be able to show if they're traditional, conservative, whatever it is, if they can get together with each other, that's the key. Because what we see right now is successful people marrying out, living out. But if we can see more of us together, more of us living alike, where people can see that and we can almost touch and feel it, I think that will give a better representation, which will help the propaganda part. So that's why I give more successful people a bit more responsibility to try and show a better way and a better living, just so that it gives people inspiration. Because in this day and age, in this world, we look to celebrities and look to influencers a hell of a lot more than I'll be honest, a lot of parents can really control, if I'll be honest, because of the nature of social media as it is now.
I guess, I mean, I think there's I think there should be maybe some probing into why they're making those decisions. You know, I mean, if they become successful and there's a pattern, patterns don't form for no reason. So why are they doing that? You know what I mean? And I'm not actually sure, because I've not really checked, but I'm not sure if people have actually just sat and down and actually just asked all these like people, like, okay, why do you do what you do once you become successful? I don't think that's ever really happened, you know, because to be truthfully honest, just doing that, with them having a level of social status they have and having that type of conversation just happen in the first place, that might help. Because I think the thing is that I don't think most of them are consciously thinking of it as there's any issue. Like I said earlier, those people would have to be having they'd have to have the opposite agenda. They'd have to be specifically thinking, oh, I'm going to specifically create this image. Like, for example, I've said it multiple times when I was on panels in the past, like about how, for me, my personal life, there's still some things I would like to do to try and help Black people before my time on this planet is done. I don't know sometimes why I bother, but it does make me feel a sense of pride in doing it. But that's me personally. I cannot expect everyone else to feel like that. And I understand why they wouldn't. And I also recognize that it's very, very difficult. You have to have a certain mentality, and it has to be something that's just kind of in you. You know, and like I said before, these other people, because the obvious argument to that would be, okay, so why don't other people have to have that in them? It's like I said, because their culture forces them to do those things, or it indoctrinates them into believing that's what they're supposed to do. We don't have that. So I think, again, unless that's going to change, which I don't know how that would change, but unless that's going to change, I don't think the overall result will change. Especially if the people who are successful, they're all doing it, then if anything, it's just sending the opposite message, which is, oh, if I want to become successful, maybe I have to do X, Y, Z then. You know, so yeah, that's pretty much what I'd say about that.
No, I hear you, Myth. I hear you. And again, yeah, there are some conversations just to further unpack why people do the things that they do, because you're right, pattern recognition. So a lot of people aren't stupid. They see what works and, you know, they copy success, don't they? So it is what it is. But yeah, thank you, everyone. We almost hit the 3 hour mark, to be honest with you. So I do want to wrap up. I know it's bank holiday over here for tomorrow, but you know, it is what it is. For some people are still working, and some people are just, you know, they're busy. So no, thanks, Myth. Thanks, Paley, for coming on the stream. Thank you for your input. Thanks for everyone who else that came on the stream. Thomas, JLC, Kale. Thank you all for being on the stream. I appreciate you. Hopefully, we should have another live stream on Wednesday. So we're hoping to get a more of a schedule Wednesday, Sunday type thing going on, in which we can have a regular live stream to get myself back up and running again, to get this thing going again. But no, thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to everyone. If you're listening on the playback, please make sure you like the stream, share the stream, subscribe if you are new. Before we get out here, is there anything pressing you guys wanted to say which you didn't get to manage to get off your chest at all?
Nope. I'm good.
Awesome. But yeah, thanks again. And again, thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next time. All right, later everyone.